Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. It's your boy David and Jack bringing you the fan show ahead of this weekend, and also welcome back to another day of turmoil at Tottenham Hotspur as the turmoil just continues, of course, with Paratici resigning, handing in his resignation, which means now we are looking for a director of football because Tottenham will not be promoting within. And of course, again, ahead of another big game this weekend, it just does not stop at this club. But Jack, how are you keeping, my man? Life is stressful being a Tottenham fan, isn't it?
I kind of just feel like, Dave, it's two different things are kind of happening right now. That two different metaphors you could use. It's like either a volcanic eruption, and with a volcanic eruption, always maybe a new environment, right? New soil, new flowers, and everything kind of emerge from it. Often, even islands actually can emerge from a volcanic eruption. But it could also be like a sort of this last scene in Fight Club where you just see all sort of the buildings crashing and burning, around them with "Where is my mind" in the background, and so that's what it kind of maybe more feels like. It feels a bit sort of kind of crazy, and it feels a bit also maybe a bit fresh this summer. I mean, I must be honest, even if it doesn't go very well, there is something to be said about how there is pretty much just so much new things that are going to be happening this summer. We're getting a new director of football, a new manager, potentially plenty of new players when it comes to that back line, hopefully, and also maybe even some new scouting departments and whatnot when maybe Scott Munn has, his sort of kind of hands-on things, because apparently we're going to be beefing that up as well. So it could be a big summer of, I don't know, who knows, future mistakes down the road, but at least it is a big summer of kind of new things to come. And Dave, what I would say is that Spurs right now at least are just, I don't know, they're kind of, outdoing themselves each and every day when it comes to the news and everything. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, and not only that, we're already nearly a full month into the manager search as well, which is also concerning. We're on course to do go another 72 days, in a manager search as well. I just hope it doesn't come back to haunt us. But look, we do have a bit of news to get through. Look, I'm actually going to share some of my concerns along the way as me and Jack will just quickly go through some of the news because I was doing the pre-match build-up, and it's got me thinking about the game at the weekend, but also the impact it could have on the future of Tottenham Hotspur going forward. And what I mean by that is, I'll get into it quickly. Is you look at Newcastle, right? I think they've been a beneficiary of their recruitment. They signed more or less a whole new backline for Eddie Howe. They've conceded the least amount of goals in the league. We've conceded, I think, 21 or 22 more than what they have. And I think that's been probably a massive difference between, the two clubs this season and probably currently why they sit inside top four, because I feel like we have a better forward line than they do. We've got two world-class players in our forward line in Kane and Son. I know Son hasn't been firing a lot this season, but I genuinely believe all across the front line we've got better forward options than they do, and I think maybe their recruitment has been more strategic and better than us. I also think the fact that they've had stability all season long, while we've had turmoil on and off the pitch all season long, is also why they're in top four. But that comes down to, for me, what the owners have done from above, what the chairman has done from above. They put Eddie Howe in, they kept a good structure around them, smart recruitment. Look at the benefits of us. We're losing it, and whether it's true, no fault of our own, we're losing director of football. We've lost Conte. Some of our recruitment has been spot on, some has been a bit of a miss, and when you compare us to Newcastle, going forward, I feel if Newcastle just added some firepower, they will cement top four easy from here on out. And to be fair to Newcastle, it hasn't just been down, like I was saying, to the big spend that maybe they have had across the back line, also bringing in a goalkeeper, may I add. But it's just been, a bit of coaching from Eddie Howe, but also the infrastructure around that. So for me, Newcastle are a club that look like they're heading in the right direction and they're state-owned, so they can just go on forward, especially getting into Champions League, exactly what they want. And Tottenham, then, that means Tottenham need to be clever and runs more efficiently and smarter to maybe bridge that gap. And we have neither right now. So I'm concerned that maybe this weekend could see a bit of a power shift between the Newcastle and the Tottenham. And
Mm.
how long will it be before Tottenham can claim that back? Jack, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I feel like they're legitimate concerns.
I think Newcastle at this moment in time have punched well above what they probably originally expected. I think Newcastle at the beginning of the season, right, they were probably just expecting Europe of any kind, I think was sort of their going in sort of expectation at this moment in time, they find themselves capable of finishing as high as third place. Like it's kind of probably well above what they originally anticipated. And so when you're in that sort of moment, Dave, I think you probably get even a bit more of like a confidence or even a bit more of like a swagger about yourself because you're feeling like can't really miss from here. There's not really much room, to really miss, right? And or there's, a ton of room to miss, excuse me. And I think Newcastle probably do feel like it's an excellent opportunity to sort of, dethrone Spurs maybe of what kind of is, I think, an established club in the top four. I mean, it's kind of been our sort of MO the last few years is to finish inside the top four. For them to sort of knock us out like that in this sort of manner upcoming weekend, I wouldn't doubt the fans, especially, to be really behind it. What I would say, though, is it's more obviously on the players on both sides because our players certainly haven't shown up. But Newcastle's players also just took a very big humbling from the likes of Aston Villa away from home. So I'm curious as to how they will respond to that. I think the
You've only
fans.
lost one game at home all season, Jack.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think it's the fans that have really carried them through this season. And I think the fans knowing what you just said, right? They probably have exactly that thought and what you just brought up, Dave, with how they could see this as a big day to dethrone Spurs. And the fan base, I think, will be then even louder than usual for that sort of team. And I think the obviously the Newcastle squad has really been able to use that to their advantage throughout the season. Even during their sort of bad spells, they were able to kind of grind out results or get a draw here and there just because that crowd was able to keep them in it. And so I think, Dave, probably more than ever, this crowd is going to be behind them.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Then we've got Paratici, of course, officially resigns from Tottenham Hotspur. Look, not going to cry over it, to be honest with you. It was coming as soon as he got that worldwide ban and he couldn't operate. It was Tottenham either had to let him go or he had to resign. And thank God he's done the decent thing and sort of hand in his resignation. Look, does he leave the club in a better place than what he found it? Go back and watch our short video. If you just press videos on our YouTube page, you'll see it. It's a couple of videos down. Have a look at it and maybe let us know what your opinion is. Look, me just quickly, I think he's done a decent job in terms of recruitment. Look, and the reason why I say that is because I was at a point where I hated the majority of that Spurs team before he got here. And I famously said this where I said, look, I actually hate more players in the squad than what I like. And I've never been at a time in my life where it's been like that. I do like a lot of Paratici's recruitment. However, I feel like other stuff, not doing the back line has come to his detriment, which has also probably cost Antonio Conte his job, which has also cost Tottenham Champions League football as well so far this season. So I think that's probably a miss. But overall, I do think we might look back at some of his recruitment, maybe a year or two down the line and say, look, on reflection, maybe he did get some of his recruitment spot on. It just wasn't helped by other areas that have become detrimental. Because I would actually argue the areas we didn't improve, the players that have been here long before Conte or Paratici even got here, are mainly the ones that have cost us this season. And Hugo Lloris in goals, Eric Dyer, Sanchez, people like that, in my opinion. Even Matt Doherty before he went. What do you make on that, Jack?
I would go as far as to say, and this could be bold, but I think the mess that Paratici inherited from Hitchin is far, far worse than the mess that we are in even actually right now.
In terms of
Because
squad, you mean?
squad, I
Yeah.
think just even as where we were kind of as a club because we were slipping with Steve Hitchen. I think after Jose Mourinho was sacked, I didn't anticipate us really getting an Antonio Conte that summer. We all saw that we were taking our time with the manager. We also, I think Paratici technically was only really officially hired. It was kind of like a Scott Munn situation, right? Where he only really was officially hired until July 1st. He had, I think, was picking up that squad, Dave, right? Where he had basically a whole like sort of players he had to get rid of. I think he got rid of something like well over like 7 or 8 like different Hitchin signings like over his time period, and there's still 4 or 5 Hitchin signings that we still have to get rid of. And I think at the same time too, when you look at sort of the track record of the money that he was able to spend, for the most part, I think a lot of these players either still have a pretty decent chance of either proving themselves here at Spurs or they've actually already kind of, proven themselves at Spurs. I think a lot of people have probably already too quickly written off Pedro Porro. I think Emerson is already kind of shutting up some people from time to time, especially if we were to transition to a back four. I think we could absolutely see that. When you look at the likes of Bentancur, Kulusevski, it's not really a debate or anything. With Romero, it's the same thing. And so I feel like even Fraser Forster this summer, right, turned out to be a fantastic signing when it came to it. So I feel like Paratici, Dave, he left the squad in a much better place than what he found it. And also as well, I mean, since he's been here, we have also been competing much higher than we were under Steve Hitchen. Steve Hitchen was kind of slipping us into the likes of Europa League, Europa Conference League, and it probably would have slipped even further under his, sort of.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think Paratici inherited a really bad mess, and he cleaned it up as best he could during the time he was here. And maybe, he's left us in a bad position because, we have no director of football, not a lot of uncertainty or a lot of certainty anywhere. But still, I think he cleaned up a very tough mess, and we're still in a better position than we were back then, at least in my opinion.
Controversial take there from Jacko, but look, if you disagree with us, come on and let us know why. Maybe there's things that we haven't considered that we're not seeing. So get on and let us know why. Then we also have sort of what 11 should Stanini go for against Newcastle. We were actually on Mia's channel yesterday, so check it out. I was just like, look, just throw the fucking kids out there at this point. I've had an absolute enough of it. Look, first of all, I want Fraser Forster in goals. I'm done with Hugo. I'm fed up. I don't want to see him any longer. I would rather play someone like Alfie Dorrington and Romero. I know people are going to say, Dave, come on, get with it, be realistic, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, I'm fed up with Dyer, fed up with Sanchez. Tanganga's no better either, and I don't want to see any of them. So just switch to a back four if Lenglet's injured and bring in Alfie Dorrington and put him in there side Romero. At least I can accept the mistake from a young kid rather than a guy that's paid over 50 grand a week and has been here 8 years. Fullbacks, I would keep Perisic and Porro. I don't think we have any option unless we get an update on Ben Davies, whether he might be back in time for the game or not. In midfield, it was a big talking point for me last week on the pre-match build-up. I do not want to see Højbjerg and Skip in the midfield. They're not good enough on the ball to break the lines with the passes, and they're also not good enough out of possession or athletic enough to be able to get after the ball, put pressure on it, and chase it. I'm fed up of us sitting back in a deep shape and not doing anything about it, just standing there letting teams pass through us. When you're sat back like that, it's supposed to be difficult to play through the lines, and all it is moving side to side. We can't do that. So for me, when I think about it, we've lost Bentancur, right? Look how calm and composed he was on the ball. Could get on the ball, play through the lines, play it over the top for Kulu, a son into Kane's feet, in behind. He could run with the ball, but out of possession. Even go back to some of the games just before he got injured. I remember watching that guy press the centre midfielder, press the centre back, and go and press the goalkeeper, make them launch it long, and then we pick up the ball and go again. We are absolutely missing that pressure on the ball. You even see Danjuma coming in, having the impact that he's had by just simply putting pressure on the ball.
Yeah.
Praise Richarlison has got this season. Came earlier on in the season because he came off the bench, put pressure on the ball. Reason why I like Gil Messi is because the energy out of possession that he was showing at times as well. Putting pressure on the ball. We've got a squad of players that don't want to do it. They're largely damaged and by what's sort of gone on this season. So let's get in guys and a fresh perspective and let's just go for it. I'd rather die going for it than die sitting there and being just not really going for it whatsoever. So on that basis, I would actually want Sarr and Højbjerg in midfield with Kane, Son, and I would drop Kulusevski and bring in a Danjuma for this game or a Richarlison on that side. That's just where I'm at with it. More so Danjuma, I think he deserves it. Jack, any changes?
Regardless of tactics, recently, what our biggest problem seems to actually be is just people actually willing to be runners and people actually willing to be kind of unselfish for each other and make runs for each other. How many times have we seen it, everyone, where you see the likes of, I don't know, even an Eric Dyer, Romero win the ball back, and then there's 12 players all surrounding the ball, either opposition players, but also Spurs players. Like, it just seems to be way too crowded whenever we even win the ball back. No one's making unselfish runs for each other to try to get open.
Yeah,
no one's spreading the pitch.
Insane.
No one's spreading the pitch at all. What I actually get really more frustrated about it, Dave, this is what maybe a better way to describe what I'm talking about. how many times when you see it, when we win the ball back, you see maybe the whole team kind of show for the ball and come short for it, facing the ball, instead of someone making a run in behind, or instead of someone maybe trying to spread the pitch a bit more and be that option to kind of take a defender away from it. The reason I think we often are actually quite predictable and quite easy actually to win the ball back off of, it's just simply everybody seems to show for the ball coming short instead of making those runs to sort of stretch the defense. It's also on the midfield, though, to be able to take more risks. How many times do we see just the midfield making sideways passes to each other, ultimately leading to just losing possession once again? But a big thing for me, Dave, actually, it's not even just always the tactics. It really is just guys that are actually willing just to move, just willing to get up and down the pitch. And part of the reason why we even liked Emerson was for that reason, a guy that liked to press the ball and get up and down the pitch basically as much as he could. And that's what we're going to need from the forwards. It's what we're going to need from the midfield. And it's what we're going to need from the defenders. And I think in order for that, to happen, Dave, we're just going to need people that can just say, yep, I can do that. I can just move my ass, because that's something that's the bare minimums, Dave. And I think that's part of the reasons, though, is that we struggle so much, is that you see guys that are just unwilling to make that extra effort for each other. And part of that maybe is having to do with fractions in the squad and things like that, and probably already giving up. But I think that's part of the reasons why we are really struggling. It's just no one's actually willing to put in the effort.
Yeah, well, 100%. They're down tools. You can clearly see it. That's why I'm asking for freshness. Give people that have largely not had the opportunity this season, give it to them. What has these guys that have been given the opportunity week in, week out done? They've let us down. They've failed us. They've upset us, angered us. Even to the point now where we're starting to boo some of our own players. So go with something fresh. Like I said, I'd rather go for it and die trying than just sitting there and accepting the reality of the situation. Paratici's, the next bit of news, Paratici's ban and departure has come as THSE are attempting to convince Harry Kane to remain at the club and preparing for an overhaul of the squad this summer. Look, if we do
How many times have we heard about an overhaul of the squad in the summer, Dave?
Do you know what, Jack? Do you know what, on that, right? The last couple of years, we've had so many positions we've needed to do. If we done defence and goalkeeper, we're going to be left short in midfield and up and forward areas. It's just the reality of the situation and the mess we got ourselves into. However, I do feel like over time we started to maybe narrow down some of them positions that we need to sign in. But for the love of God, I don't want to hear anyone talk about an overhaul unless it includes centre-backs and a goalkeeper. And the reason why I'm starting to get angry over this is because, I look at a Newcastle. They signed Nick Pope, they signed Sven Botman, they signed Dan Burn, they signed Trippier. They completely overhauled their backline and the goalkeeper. And look at the benefits of it. They've been found wanting going forward at times this season. A lot of their results have just been decided by one goal. But because they can keep clean sheets, look what it's done for them. If our overhaul does not include that this summer, I'm going to lose my shit, because I've been on about it for a long time. And my old lad actually said something to me the other day, which I'm quite shocked. He says, do you know what, Dave? You were bang on about these players all this time. All this time you were bang on about it, especially that back line. And that's a rare coming from my father. Absolute rare. And you see it this season. They've conceded, I think, 24 goals. We've conceded 48. It's absolutely shocking. It's not good enough. And if this club wants to progress in any sort of manner on the football pitch, it starts with centre-backs. It starts with a goalkeeper. We've seen this season. We need a goalkeeper who can distribute with his feet. We don't have that in Hugo Lloris. And also, his shot-stopping ability is in decline. So we need a new number one in here. Here's the player who has made mistake after mistake after mistake this season. Sanchez when he's come in. Tanganga. So Lenglet at times as well. Romero the very odd time, but I keep him away from that because I truly believe you put better defenders in there, you're going to see a much better Romero. But if we do not overhaul that this season, expect us to go out in the early rounds of the Cups again next season. Expect us to fail in Europe again next season, regardless of the competition. And expect us to fall even further down that Premier League table than what we already might this season because of it. It's been highlighted this season, and it better be done this summer. They promised in January, we won't sign centre-backs because we're getting two this summer. But go out and get the very best two you can.
Their summer's transfer strategy should really just be this. They've conceded, I believe, what is it, Dave? At least over 6 goals to Bournemouth this season. They've conceded 3 goals at home to Bournemouth. That should be their summer transfer strategies, just that stat alone. It should be the defense and the goalkeeper should be their absolute main priority. Everything
Treat the
else
Bournemouth,
can be
treat the
go second. I
Southampton.
think they still need other improvements absolutely on top of that, but I do not want to be going into a debate about why we need James Maddison more than we need an improvement on Eric Dyer. It's just something that we can't get into a debate over again.
But it's got to the point, Jack, it's so bad. Like, we used to say, okay, against the relegation teams, remember I used to go into Sanchez's stats that were fluffed up from the end of last season, the start of this season, and I highlighted, they're against relegation teams. Against better teams is where our problem is. But it's got to the point now, we just concede no matter where we go. Southampton, bottom of the league, conceded 3. Bournemouth conceded 3, fighting for a relegation scrap. And I'm sure if I go through some of the other relegation candidates, you'll find where we've conceded double, triple goals. And it's just not good enough. It's got to the point where we can't even do it against relegation for other teams. So it's come to even more of importance for me, even more importance. But look, we'll keep moving on. We've got just 1 or 2 more bits, and then we'll get to comments, see who's in here to join us, and start getting on the guests. Tottenham are interested in exploring the option of Ruben Amorim. This comes from Sammy Mockbell at the Daily Mail. Ruben Amorim, I actually like the guy. I've done a lot of research into him. He's done a very good job at Sporting. His recruitment actually at Sporting has been very, very good as well. When he came in, Sporting were a team that were in a bit of disarray. There was a lot of the old guard there. He had to get rid of them. He brought in a lot of new players like Paulini, who's at Fulham. There's a guy, Nuno Mendes.
Nuno Mendes went to PSG.
Yeah, there's the guy at Wolves that they signed as well. Then you've also got Pedro Gonçalves, who Jax loves. Marcus Edwards was brought in there by Amorim as well.
Ugarte looks good.
He's made a lot of clever signings there, and he's really refreshed Sporting. He went on to absolutely dominate the league. He's won, I think, 4 League Cups there on the trot. And, look what he's done with them in Europe as well. They upset us. They upset Arsenal, So for me, I like what he's about. He's actually... He predominantly plays with the sort of 3 at the back. It kind of makes sense if we did sort of bring him in here. But the way he sets them up, he does get them to press high at times, but he gets them to put the ball out wide and sets up traps. If you see it, whatever position it's on, he'll get the midfielder and the wing back to push right up to get that ball. So he does have a good tactical knowledge of the game, and it does seem to work. So, look, he wouldn't be a bad appointment. I wouldn't be throwing my hands out, my toys out the pram with him, Jack. Anything on Ruben Amorim?
I think you did your research on that guy extensively, Dave. So everybody, if you want to check out our kind of manager preview video, feel free to still check it out. Dave was very much responsible for that section, and I thought you did a great job on it. I think you absolutely nailed it on the recruitment part. Didn't even expect you to say that. So yeah, I learned something, Dave.
Yeah, everyone, get over and check out the managerial thing we done on Ruben Amorim. You'll find everything about the guy there. And then sources at THFC has indicated that Levy will look to replace Paratici rather than promote within. So I don't see a lot of fans clamoring, get Paul Mitchell in.
Nagelsmann, just quickly, Dave, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted that Nagelsmann has withdrawn from the race to become Chelsea coach. Julian Nagelsmann has now withdrawn from the race to become the new Chelsea head coach. It looks like it's his final decision. German coach is said to be no longer available after multiple rounds of talks. Nagelsmann was top candidate for the job. We know Pochettino is also the second one that they're looking at as well.
Yeah, so I just hope that doesn't sort of mean that Pochettino has sort of accepted the job. Let's wait and see the fallout from that. Nagelsmann, I reckon, me personally, I think he's holding out for the Madrid job. I know people get excited and say, "Oh, Dave, he's coming to Tottenham." I'd hold back on that. Yeah, I think this guy is actually waiting for the Real Madrid job. So we'll wait and see what happens. But look, let's start welcoming some people in. Let's see what people we've got tuning in with us, and then we'll start getting on some guests. Big up Tequila 316, my man. I probably need to start drinking and grab some tequila off you at this point. The Hotspur says, in about a year, we lost the manager and DOF. I mean, not even the director of football is lasting 2 years now at this club. It's becoming a real problem. Nick Kermlock, good to see you. And I see you talking about your birthday. So happy early birthday, my man. Big up Eddie from Dubai. Hopefully it's treating you well, my man. He says, big up, lads. Glad the Lone Ranger has finally left the building.
Big up, Lewis.
Big up. Mark New says, big up, Jack and Dave Paratici. Paradox, the Don is gone, but the Don of Dons Daniel Levy needs to go. Daniel Levy eating out, Potts using Chelsea's leverage to come home to Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. I hope so, man. I hope that maybe that's been put out there to try and maybe kick Spurs into action to get in contact and try and get him in here. But we'll wait and see, my man. And look, director of football is just as important. I do feel that the club now have a chance to completely change the direction of this football club. A smart appointment in director of football that lines up with the vision of a manager could really benefit Tottenham Hotspur going forward. But we have not seen that sort of lineup for quite some time at Tottenham, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. So it's a big ask to maybe for them to get it right. Let's wait and see what happens. My God, they better get it right. Sugar Pebble says, do you guys read about Levy saying Kane to win trophies at Spurs? Look, I actually addressed this yesterday. I think, look, the opportunity for Kane to lift the trophy at Spurs has probably been, and look, if we do have smart recruitment and we do bring in a good manager and stuff like that, he might get one final chance. As for a statue, I mean, I thought it was a decision by the club not to have any statues when they were asked about, will there be statues at the new stadium? It's like it was their club policy to maybe honor the past greats in a more modern way, aka being in and around the stadium on match day and speaking to fans and stuff like that. But I don't know why he's talking about statues when we don't want to give statues to the likes of a Bill Nick, Jimmy Greaves, people like that, Steve Perryman, record appearance holder. I mean, if you're not giving statues to them, I don't see him setting one up for Kane. And if he does give one to Kane, it's sort of, it's
hypocritical.
Eradicating the history from White Hart Lane altogether, from everyone's memories, which is wrong. Yeah. Mark says, we are rudderless, although we do have Levy making all the decisions. What could go wrong? Oh, man. I know. Jeff Totten, big up, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Great to see you. DJ Samuel, good to see you, buddy. Hope you are keeping well, sir. We've got Jazz Jones, big up IrishHotspur, great podcast, big up. Jazz.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate that, my man. Big up, Lewis. Hopefully you're keeping well and your birthday Monday. Happy early birthday, my man. Big up, Mile High Hotspurs. Big up, Leo. Much love to everyone in the chat. Big up, Leo. We've got Dan Coy this afternoon, Dave and Jack. Hopefully you're both keeping well. It's going to be a hard, long watch until the end of the season. Spurs have to change. Absolutely spot on, Dan. It's going to be painful. I almost feel like I need to be, duct taped together and just duct taped to my chair and forced to watch it at this point. Jason Bell says, big up, lads. I think we'll see a win this weekend. The squad have nothing to lose, no pressure. They'll actually show up. Do you know what, Jason? I do admire the optimism, and I'd love if you could send some my way, because I've completely lost all optimism for this season. Look, we're up against it, brother. The Newcastle don't concede too many goals. We've seen the repercussions of not taking our chances earlier on in the season. They've only lost one at home all season long, and the fact that they have stability and we've instability, everything is stacked against us, my man. Darth Hotspur says, big up to all. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Foggy Foam. Good afternoon, sir. Hopefully you're
big up, Foggy.
Jazz Jones says, flat caps make you talk sense when it comes to Spurs. Fact. Love that, my man. Big yourself up. Big up, Derek Smith. Great to see you. Same as Mark P. Good to see you, brother. Hopefully you are keeping well, sir. Same as you, Eamon Burns. Great to see you. Hopefully you are keeping well, my man. Big up, Terry Wright. Great to see you, brother. Hopefully you're keeping well. Adrian Chia says, big up, lads. Beside the tunes, Brighton is also getting better each season. Poole and Chelsea will also be in the mix for top 4 once they straighten up. And do you know what? I could have actually went deeper on my point. You're right. Brighton has been absolutely getting everything spot on. Even if they lose a player, they already have 3 signings, the next 3 signings in a row that they want to bring in that position. They already know if De Zerbi goes, what manager's going to come in here. So, you got to say, if they keep on that upward trajectory and keep getting things right, they might close the gap. You look at Liverpool, I think once they sign probably 1 or 2 midfielders this summer, I think they'll be back. You got to remember, they've been hampered by injuries this season. Their midfield, the legs have been absolutely run out of them the last 7 years. Once they sort of rectify and change that, I've no doubt Liverpool will be back. Chelsea, look, this is one that could go either way, to be honest with you. I think they're 7 points above relegation right now. I mean, if they don't win any games between now and the end of the season, could it happen? Let's wait and see. But you would like to think, look, a lot of the talent they've brought in, all it's waiting for is just the manager to enhance that talent, to bring it out of them and maybe cut the squad down a bit. And I think you might see Chelsea back. But like I said, it could easily go the other way. But the reality is, we could end up 7th, 8th, and outside of that top 6 in no time if we don't smarten up, Adrian.
He seemed to really like your point, Adrian, or Adrian seemed to really like your point, Dave, about sort of the established top 4 and how maybe some of these teams like Newcastle, Brighton, even Fulham made a bit of a crack at it this season. Aston Villa are all kind of trying to make a bit of a hunt for that top 4. I guess what will also be soon to be the top 5, I guess, next season, right? So a lot of these teams and a lot of these clubs who have been making the right decisions and are proving to be quite competent are kind of, eyeing these sort of established sort of clubs that are maybe looking a bit less competent like ourselves. So Adrian definitely, I think, agrees with your point that you're making in the beginning there.
No, big up, Adrian. You're absolutely spot on. We can find ourselves outside it very, very quick, buddy. Hopefully you're keeping well, though, my man. Hopefully life is treating you good, Adrian. Big yourself up, my man. Let's keep welcoming in more guests. Who have we got here? So big up, Adrian. We've got Jay Keaveney. Good to see you, sir. He says, my son grew up during the Poch era. So sad to see how disillusioned he has become watching Spurs recently. It's sad, man. It's sad. Very sad. But look, hopefully one day we'll get some good times back. Catman Jess says, I'm positive we can get a good result this weekend. More positive than me, my man. More positive than me. Who else have we got? We've got Darius. He says, big up, lads. At least Paratici signed players who can get into the first team, although he didn't do the best job. I think that's probably a fair summarization, if you ask me. He has signed players that can get into the first team, unlike maybe a Steve Hitchin, but, not bringing in a goalkeeper, not bringing in centre-backs has probably cost us more and maybe overshadowed some of the recruitment or good recruitment he has done in other areas, my man. Big up, Darius. Leighton Evelyn, good to see you, sir. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Never changed. He's gone 4-1 Newcastle.
He liked I saw his comments, though, Dave. He liked your lineups, though. He liked kind of some of your suggestions for the lineup, though. You and Leighton were agreeing with each other.
Me for once. Big up, Leighton. You learn something new every day, my man. Big yourself up. Derek Hutchins says, big up, Jack and Dave. The first person we need to get rid of is Daniel effing Levy. Yeah, look, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. We do, or we need him to change his ways or change the direction. Just hear me out on this, Derek, right? You sort of alluded to sacking managers because it's about winning. If you're not winning, then ultimately it's going to cost you your job. Then I'll just question, why doesn't that apply to Daniel Levy then? And I know he owns 29.4% of Enoch, but, why isn't someone else that maybe has more share, like a Joe Lewis for that, holding Daniel Levy to the same standards? That's what I ask Derek Hutchinson. If you're going to hold that standard to managers, then you got to hold that to him. And I also didn't like, his celebratory comment of finishing above Arsenal for 5 years. Look, I absolutely celebrated it last year. Don't get me wrong. And it's my job as a fan to be petty and celebrate all the little things I can have over my rivals. As a chairman of a football club, that shouldn't be what you're celebrating. He didn't mention the League Cup, by the way, which I found very, very interesting. And if that's the standard step from the top down, is there any wonder why we see what we see on the pitch? Is there any wonder why we have a high turnover of managers and players coming in and out of this football club? But big up, my man. And we've got Sean Maddox. I'm happier with an academy kid as they would appreciate, and it is moving in a direction. Absolutely spot on. Foggy Foam says 100%. Dave, what's the point putting another useless defender? Rather pump up the midfield with Sarr in there. 100%. Do you know what? Another player I wouldn't mind see coming off the bench. Mikey Moore. Absolutely terrific.
Yeah, he looked filthy.
Absolutely terrific the other day. I wouldn't mind seeing him come off the bench. Big up, Wilson T. Good to see you, my man. 352, surely. Yeah, if you want to see Sanchez, my man, if you want to see Sanchez. Claude Murphy says, so many murders amongst us. Get off free. Football is wheeling and dealing and put out a man for 2 years. People looking at him as some criminal. Look, just gotta wake up, Claude. Just gotta wake up. Can't keep blaming the manager. Can't keep throwing him under the bus, my man. Darren Ferris says the Irish Hotspur Porro can't play as a right back because he's not a right back. He can't defend. Look, it's all we've got, my man. It's all we've got. You can't play Emerson because he's struggling to come back from his knock. So it's all we've got, brother. I do take your point. I do take your point, my man. But look, it's all we've got. Craig Bowler, big yourself up, brother. Hopefully you're keeping well. Morning, Jazzy Fusion. Good to see you. Yeah, he's gone. He is gone, my man. He is gone. Who else? I don't want to miss anybody. We've got Wonder Boys. We don't even seem capable of coherent attack and play at the moment. Instead, we lose it and get caught out. Man, in possession, we are absolutely shocking. And it's something I've highlighted actually for a while now. As much as we want to blame tactics, we also have to be aware of actually how much possession we give away needlessly, which is also a contributing factor to why we sit back so much, because do you know what? I was actually listening to Golden Guest there last night, the last podcast they had on. And Ali Gold sort of touched on a point, but it's a point I made weeks ago, but he summed it up better than what I did. And it's kind of like the attack, the defensive side of the game that these managers have brought is only supposed to be implemented when you don't have the ball. But we should be keeping possession so much better. And if you do, you don't implement the defensive side of your game as much. So we do have to learn to keep the ball so much better. And I just wish, I had Ali Gold's vocabulary so I could actually get my point across that way. But so it was a good point raised. Ken Boone says our season is over. Hitchin, Paratici, the managers, the signing, none of them have had an ounce of influence because one thing rules and influences them all. All roads lead to Levy and Enoch. Look, there's no doubt some bad decisions have cost us. No doubt about that, my man. Who else have we got? I just want to make sure we're not missing anyone. Big up to the Sabre team. Good to see you. Big up Boris Britt says an overall will come with a cost of £500 million, but Levy will never offer that much. And that's another thing where I was getting pissed off with him about the managers. You can blame the managers about winning, but if you don't provide them everything to win or the best tools necessary to try and win, then what do you expect? What do you expect? And it's sort of like he's in that mindset, but what he doesn't realize is if you're not going to give him everything and the way we operate and we do it in increments, little steps over each transfer window, then you've got to give that manager time, right? Surely I'm not going insane. Surely that's just logic. Maybe I'm going insane. Big up, Paddy Harnick. Good to see you, my man. Big up, Stevie Fraser. How can anyone seriously we think we could do anything until our defense is completely overhauled? Big ups, by the way. Absolutely spot on, Steve. Absolutely spot on. Adrian Chia says Levy's idea of overhaul is giving Dyer a new contract. Jack, take this one because I'm going to blow.
It seems to be his main priority right now, Adrian, is that before he even dives into the Harry Kane contract negotiations, needs to make sure that our one and only lovely Eric Dyer, his security is, guaranteed as well. I really don't understand it, as well as when there really is no manager here in the first place, Adrian. Why on earth would you want to be giving Eric Dyer a new contract? I don't think that's exactly what a new manager wants to be stepping into either, is to be told right away that, you know what? We haven't really secured the future of Harry Kane. I know you probably wanted that, but we have secured the future of Eric Dyer. And I think that would just be, again, a huge, sort of sign of where the club's priorities are all mixed up and wrong. So, Adrian, for me, I just really hope it isn't the case that we are pursuing this because I don't really get it. You would think that you would have this happen when a manager has already been signed, and maybe it would be the manager that would approve of this sort of thing. Why on earth would we keep Eric Dyer around? There's no reason to. There's no reason. No one's asking for this. No one's asking for this.
People wonder why I'm ready to bounce off the walls all the time when you see this clown, this fraud getting a new contract. It's supposed to be a reward for performing, right? I mean, what message does that send out to anyone coming in here, any youth in and around the squad? Just, look, you can perform whatever way you want in a Tottenham jersey, whether you mean it or not, but you can just go out and perform whatever way you want, and you're still going to collect a nice wage and everything else. It's absolutely shocking, Adrian. Absolutely shocking. And he also says, Poch going to Chelsea is giving Levy the middle finger. Poch going to Chelsea is just a kick in the stones, my man. It'll hurt, to be honest, knowing that. Because I'm of the belief that he's the only manager right now that would actually pick Tottenham over Chelsea, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact, if he goes to Chelsea, it really is just rubbing it in my opinion. Really is rubbing in what's going on at this football club, in my opinion. Jack, where are you at with that?
No, it really is just of the many kicks and, Dave, of the many, kind of punches in the stomach, punches to the face, punches all over the body that we have received this season, this would be probably one of the many sort of knockout blows that we've already taken. In fact, I think we've already been knocked out plenty of times as a Spurs fan base. It's just now we're just kind of getting punched while we're down, basically. And I think this would be an even bigger kick, in the stomach kind of while we're down, Adrian. And I really hope that Pochettino is a man of his word. That's all I can say. I just hope he's a man of his word.
Adrian. I really hope so, my man. Big yourself up. And then we have this from Catman Jess. I'm not sure whether it's a slight dig at me or not, but he says, big up the real Spurs fans, not these pessimists. POS. I don't know what that means. Catman Jess. Look, You know, I was one of them last year against all odds when everyone was saying we weren't going to get top four. I sat there, I looked at everyone's fixtures, I said, no, hang on, we will, you know. And just because I'm not doing it this season, it doesn't maybe make me a pessimist. I'm just being realistic to the situation this season. I got last season spot on. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. When I see fractures in the squad, when we've got no manager, no director of football, our defense is leaking the goals, there's nothing for me to really get hyped about or really sort of be positive about right now, my man. You know, at the end of the day, the positivity has to sort of stem from what you're seeing from the club as well. You know, there's no point sitting here and faking it and stuff like that. It's just not in me. I'm one of them. I deal with. I'll speak about the issues. If I think things are good, I'll be happy. If I think things are bad, I have no problem sitting there talking about it and calling it out. It's just the way I operate, my man. Can't be positive 24/7.
I think
And he
if
says
anything,
it's not on me, which is fair enough. He says to anyone cutting down people who are choosing to still look. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I understand that. Look, anyone that still chooses to get behind the boys, do what you want. You pay for the merchandise. You pay for the TV channels. You pay to go to games. You support the club the way you want to. Don't let anyone tell you it's wrong. What I
yeah.
will say is we can't be naive to the issues either, though.
I think that's absolutely spot on and well said there. Catman, I'm happy to be the happy clapper jack. Been called it before. I absolutely embrace it. But even as happy clapper jack, there are times when I can't clap, as happily. That's just what it is. There are times when my claps are a bit sadder and, probably just at this stage in time, nothing really to clap for, let's be honest. So I think that's just where we're at. But the moment that I get just an ounce of hope, an ounce of kind of, optimism, I will pounce on it. Don't worry, Catman, just like I always do. Big up, brother.
Big up, Catman. And I hope this isn't Catman and Leighton maybe having a dig at each other. But Leighton says, big up real fans, not happy clappers and delusional. Look, them last two super chats are probably actually probably a representation of where we're probably at right now as a club, maybe as a fractured fan base. One thing I do know, having a fractured fan base is not really going to benefit anyone. It's not really going to benefit this club either because, there are people out there that would prey on the fractures and stuff like that. And for me, I actually believe, fans coming together is actually the solution. Uniting the fans is the solution, to the problems. Trying to get everyone on one page so that we can have one unanimous message, one unanimous voice, I think is what actually is the solution. That's just my opinion, my opinion. Even getting Daniel Levy, the chairman, to sit down and, have a fair representation of the Spurs fan base, put forward, let the fans elect them and then put them in an interview with Daniel Levy to try and get some maybe answers or stuff like that. For me, unity is the only way for going forward. Fans are the solution to the problem. That's just my opinion.
I would say Leighton too. Look at what Mia's just said there. Absolutely right. And come on, guys, and the fans we trust. We all love the club. We all support them. Whatever way, no one way is the right way. I think we all want the same thing at the end of the day, Catman as well as Leighton. But there's no need for us, I think, to tear each other apart, especially basically when we have practically nothing left at Spurs really to be hopeful for, basically, other than really each other in this sort of community. So there's no reason to be tearing each other down. I think that's just how I see it, especially when we kind of have nothing left at this stage.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah, fair point. All we've got is each other right now.
We're kind of eating each other right now. There's no need to.
I just want to say hi to a few people as well. Jordan Stevens, sir. Hopefully you are keeping well, my man. I haven't actually seen you, on any, or even come on a fan show since the pandemic. I know you had your own issues and that going on. I do. Hopefully you're keeping well, and it is good to see you, sir. Also, Neil Shafton, great to see you, buddy. Also, Adam Phillips, good to see you, Adam. We've got the Midnight Garden, Sue Smith as well, Morlar. We've got Top 943. We've got Killian Gubins. Good to see all of you guys, all of you.
Hollywood Hotspur, I saw too. Big up Hollywood Hotspur as well. Absolute legend.
Carl Higgins, great to see you, my man.
Big up Carl.
Paul Troll, Free Isla Wayne, I think is the name. I got that pronounced. I've absolutely butchered it. Hollywood Hotspur, all of you guys. It is great to see all of you in. Zoe as well. Good to see you, Mark.
Late Evelyn member for 7 months as a fan show member says, Jack, Dave, I can see you're not happy clappers today because reality has set in. We are playing Newcastle away. Welcome to the dark sides, lads. LOL.
Do you know what it is, Leighton? Do you know what it is, right? I always want look, everyone wants the best for Tottenham, first of all. And while there was still a chance of us getting top four, I wanted to believe in it. I really wanted to believe in it. But ultimately, everyone has their breaking point. Everyone gets let down at one stage or another. And sadly, mine have come against the likes of a Southampton, the likes of that Wolves game, the AC Milan game, the Sheffield United game, the Bournemouth game at the weekend. And it's sort of like, it's just nothing to be. Look, if you want me to use the word happy clapper, there's nothing to be a happy clapper about, my man. Nothing to be a happy clapper about right now, if that's the word you want me to use. But look, Leighton, you know the way I support the club, my man, and I know the way you support the club. But you know what? It's good that we can have banter about it. I do like that. Jack, anything you want to say to Leighton?
No, Leighton, I absolutely, love the dynamic we have between each other, to be fair. And, like you said, you see things.
To the flames.
You're able to also, Leighton, maybe, let's be honest, as much as I pounce on maybe any sort of opportunity to see something, and get a bit ahead of myself, you also are very good at sort of maybe not, getting too ahead of yourself on things as well. It goes both ways, right? It's a give and take. I get well ahead of myself on things and want to make kind of bold sort of predictions that Spurs could do this and that. And maybe this could be fixed, that could be fixed, where you kind of say, hold your horses, Jacko. And so at the same time, I think both are absolutely acceptable. But like I will reiterate, and like I think what everybody should probably stand for is there's no reason, though, to really tear each other down, or there's no reason to really go after each other in any sort of malicious way, I think, whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, we are Spurs fans and we're kind of basically chained to this club forever. At least that's what I thought. So no reason to be kind of biting your own tail, at least. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, look, big up everybody for joining us. Let's start getting on some of the Tottenham fans. Let's see what they had to say about maybe some of the current news or the current situation of Tottenham Hotspur. So, look, let's start cracking on. The first guest, we have him in the house. It's Ribsy. Haven't spoken to this guy in quite some time, so looking forward to hear what he makes of the current situation at Tottenham. So, Ribsy, look, I do wish we could maybe reunite and speak in better circumstances. Unfortunately, that's not the case. More news coming out today of Paratici being sacked. I mean, Tottenham are in turmoil right now, looking for a new manager, new director of football. What's your thoughts on everything?
Well, at least we can stop arguing about how to pronounce his name, right? So, start with that.
That's over.
Look, I liked the guy. I liked, in the early days, in that second half of that first season, well, actually, in the whole of that first season where he came in, and you saw him, on the sidelines, and he was screaming and hollering like a fan, like there was some there was passion. The guy, whether he was a Spurs fan or not, I mean, probably not. Who cares, right? But he cared. He wanted results, and you could just see it, and it was just nice, It was just nice to see people on the back end that actually gave a shit about whether we were winning or not.
Because we kind of needed that year. It felt like we needed people to show that they, and probably still right now, you go into the summer, you want people who just show that they give a shit.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. I mean, our transfer performance before Paratici came in was crap. Let's be honest. I mean, the big money we spent on guys like Davison Sanchez and Ndebele and Lo Celso and these guys. I mean, like all of us can look at them and go, yeah, there's a footballer in there somewhere. But why are we just rolling the dice on it? I mean, we're a big club. We're a big club. People pay big money to go and watch Spurs play football. They pay it week in, week out. Even if we're shit, they pay, and they keep going. Why are we getting these like 50-50, maybe might happen, might be a great steal. We might get a real good deal out of this one. What the fuck are we doing? Just go buy a footballer who can fucking play football. Like, seriously, I'm trying to...
Recruitment, though, has actually been the real spine of, I think, a lot of core of our issues, Ripsy, because you can bring in the best managers in the world, but if you continue to get recruitment wrong, and also if you continue to get sort of squad management wrong, because it's not just recruitment, it's also just been a lack of players that we actually push out the door. I mean, Paratici actually... as much as people weirdly, I think, have criticized him for not getting rid of enough players, I mean, he still got rid of, practically almost 2 full 11s, worth of players. Like the guy was,
and he can somehow convinced Levy to be like, okay, this like Dele Alli guy, I know that you think, and you've put him on the books as like this guy. There's what, like, all of us wanted him to be a success. Like none of us are like, fuck Dele, let's get rid of him. Like all of us were like, no, we love this guy. We really wanted this to be a success, but that was the right choice. He had to go, man, because he was so far out of form that he'd become a far worse footballer than he was when we pulled him out of League Two, man.
Imagine if of all the problems we had right now, if he was actually still our player and he was on loan at Besiktas, like right now, he was still our player to, come back like this summer. This is what I would say is Paratici, as much as I think actually where his biggest sort of stains, I think, are probably on the Nuno situation. And then also, I think maybe the timing of certain transfers he brought in, because the Bryan Hill transfer, as much as we are Hill Messi lovers, he did maybe get that one sort of wrong, because what we needed that summer was a real player to come in for that sort of price and like kind of take sort of the team and help out Harry Kane. What we needed that summer was actually a Kulusevski. The Kulusevski was then delivered halfway through the season, but you could say, right, it was delivered maybe a bit sort of late. And I think what this is, funny thing about Paratici, I don't know what you think, Bribsy, but the situation he inherited from Hitchin, if you take yourself back to that time period, and I know it's a dark place to go to, I actually still think that era or that time period, that summer, is actually a worse position than where we find ourselves right now and going into this.
I agree. I think that Paratici, looking at the evidence as someone who genuinely knows nothing about what went on, I truly think that he is guilty of what he's been.
A big black book of.
But I also, and it's one of the few things I genuinely respect Levy about, is that he probably knew this and he was like, no, this guy gets shit done. Let's get him in because this is what we've got problems with.
He cooks the bugs.
Yeah, he's like, okay, if he's getting away with it, why do we not have this guy who is clearly getting away with murder? Well, we've got this other guy who's like a big softy who fucking gets all these like broken toys of players and tries to make footballers out of them. We're like, fuck that, man. That's what shit teams do. Like, we need, like, I actually get what he was trying to do. Like, it fucking blew up in our face because we're Spurs. That's what happens. But. Yeah. But it's as much as I'm purely in the Levy needs to go camp, it's one of the few things I truly respect him for is just rolling the dice on that one and going, see what happens. This guy's
fair enough.
It's madness. Let's see what happens. Like fucking let's see.
Fair point. I struggle to believe that no one knew about, the background before he came in here, especially inside the sporting circles. And yeah, you're probably right. Daniel Levy did look at it and say, yeah, look, I know he's going down, but let's see what bargains he can sort of get in here. Look, with the way he operates, Look, he's gone now, Ribsy. Who do you want next in the door, maybe as a director of football? Is there anyone out there in world football that you really like?
No. Like, it's such a scummy role. Like, like, there's no one out there who's, like, a director of football that I'm like, ooh, I want this guy. Because they all suck. Like, and that's the thing. Like, there's something about, like, someone who's, like, kind of a pirate. They're like someone who gets away with murder. That's the kind of that's the director of football you want. So, yeah, like, Paratici was the guy. So you need to find the guy that can do what Paratici did who doesn't get caught. Like, that's the guy you want. I don't know who he is, but
I think what we probably should. I think it's more dependent with the sort of manager-director of football relationship, because what there seems to be is that a director of football does very well by having a manager that he trusts. A manager does very well by having a director of football that he trusts. It seems to be kind of this sort of symbiotic relationship, and maybe one doesn't really work without the other. So
that
if you
might be
the
trick.
Amarim, find Amarim's best friend, who was that guy who brought in all those players. If you bring in a Nagelsmann, find some young, skinny jean wearing director of football out in Germany.
Yeah, sure. Like that. Or just don't do it. Like just bring in a manager who has a plan for what he wants to do, and just let him try. Because as much as they keep convincing us that we have no money, we have fucking money. So just let a manager get the players he wants and maybe just fuck that position off entirely for a bit. Like, I'm not saying that you don't need, someone who works out how the youth team works and all that, all that shit. And then, like, you need someone who's working that aspect of the business out. But if you truly want a first 11 in Premier League to work, you need to have, I truly believe you need to have a manager who has control over the team he's building, because the way they build teams, like there's more positions than there are, there's more positions than there are players on the field. Like, they need to have the guys they want, and it just seems crazy to me that someone else is going, I bought this guy, and they're like, I don't want this fucking guy. What have you done to me? Like, okay, thank you for bringing me in this player I can't use.
The manager needs to be having full reign to be able to sculpt if he needs a right wing back, he gets a right wing back. He doesn't get a right back. If he needs a center defensive midfielder, he doesn't get a creative midfielder, that sort of thing. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think also though with the way we operate, I think, if you're spending the money of a City or what have Chelsea spent over the last decade, you could just bring the best players in the world here. Have a director of football that's in charge of that and bring in the manager to work with them. But the way we operate and the way we say, look, we can only do 3 out of the 6 we need this summer, or whatever it may be, you have to let that manager then, have a fair say in them players coming in here, because he's the one that will know exactly not only just the attributes of the player, but the mentality of the player that he sort of needs as well. So I actually understand the point you're trying to make there, Ribsy, especially with the way we operate, my man. Absolutely fair point, brother. Look, let's talk about the overhaul of this squad.
How many times have you heard that, Ribsy?
My favorite subject.
Oh, genuine pain.
Though, this summer, and I brought this up, Ribsy. Like, it should be obvious. You conceded 3 goals to Bournemouth at home. You go into the summer, like, no worry about, like, yes, maybe you wanted James Maddison, but you should be fully focused on goalkeepers and center backs. That's what you should be focused on this summer. It should be quite obvious.
Yeah. Look, we've worked with the argument over the last couple of seasons that we have this incredible front 3, and we should be, even before Decky, people were saying we have such fantastic attackers that, maybe we can put up with not having the greatest defense in the world because we should be scoring all these goals and it should make up for the difference. But the truth is that doesn't fucking work because we've seen the evidence. Like, that's not how it works. So you can't, like, okay, Eric Dyer, as much as we all probably, we all, like, the 3 of us here on the screen right now that I can see, all of us want him gone. We've wanted him gone for a long time. He's not the worst defender in the world. I don't think any of us have ever said that. But the thing is that he's not a good enough defender to play at Spurs. And we should have a greater respect for ourselves as a club than just being
rationalizing Eric Dyer and
exactly. It's abuse. It's like, it's just going, oh yeah, I've been with this wife or this boyfriend or whatever for this long, and he hasn't hit me or he hasn't like spat at me or anything, like, but he's got no ambition and he's a bit shit, but you're just putting up with the exactly as you say, Jack, you're just rationalizing the fact that this guy is not a complete piece of garbage. He's just crap. Like, you can do better. We can do better. We're better than this.
Standard. It's just
he's not.
You just leave it as. Yeah.
And here's the thing with Dyer, right? Like, it's not that embarrassing to not be as good as our team needs. That actually doesn't make you a bad footballer. You can go and play professional football for a good wage. In a lot of Eric Dyer can play professional football in the Premier League. I believe it. He just can't play it at our level. Maybe
we'll soon find out when we sell him to Gary O'Neill's Bournemouth, but maybe then again
we're not selling him to anything. He's going on a fucking free when he's like 36 to like fucking Paraguay or something. Like we're just gonna hold on to him.
He wouldn't even get a game in the Chinese league, in the Chinese Super League. He wouldn't even get a game there. That's how bad he is.
But speaking of squad overhaul, though, Ribsy, I'll press you on this because we need to get rid of plenty of them. But the issue is, how many do you actually see us getting rid of? We probably have Sanchez, who we know needs to be gone. Joe Rodon needs to be gone. I don't think Ren are going to be taking that buy option by the looks of things. You have the likes of Tanganga, who we've been using as kind of a homegrown pawn, sadly enough, this whole time. And then you also have Eric Dyer, and then some people would still want to get rid of Davies. Sorry, that's 5, and then Longley would be 6.
Oh, yeah.
So you find like 6 center backs, basically, that you sort of maybe for different reasons either want to keep, don't want to keep, but sort of are kind of not established, like everybody in the fan base agrees is good enough, like you were saying, Tottenham Hotspur standard. Because while we may debate over whether Romero has had a good season or not, we know he is good enough for this shirt. We know he is somebody that is going to be one of the better center backs in the world in the future and should be wearing this shirt. Whereas the other ones I just mentioned, it's a bit of a toss-up, right? And so this is what I mean by the squad overhaul. Like, you have 6 center backs, basically, like that you need to get rid of, but which one falls above the other in the priority list, right? And which one ends up surviving. I've said this to Dave. It's like kind of which one, it's like, outrunning your friend from the bear, which one can, be the fastest. Is it Ben Davies that's going to survive? Is it Eric Dyer that's going to survive? Is it Sanchez?
Well, you talk about the chat this week, right? And there's genuine, press excitement about the fact that Ben Davies might be coming back into the team. Like, you look at the like back in the, even not in that far, in the Jose years, right? None of us would have been excited about Ben Davies getting back into the fucking starting 11. I will admit, the man played brilliantly in that first half, bit more than half a season with Conte and as manager. That was the best I've ever seen that man play football. But that was apparently as much football as he had in him, because we didn't get that. And he wasn't the only one, but from that, starting with the preseason from the current season, you had these guys who had great seasons previously, and we were all super excited, and even the press was saying, they got a shadow of a hope of being champions this year and all that sort of thing. And they just, you'd need a psychiatrist to tell you exactly why that didn't eventuate in any way, shape, or form. But
I think we paid the price last summer for not seeing the defense as vulnerable as it is. I think we genuinely thought that Eric Dyer and Davies and all those guys could carry on the form that they were showing towards the tail end of last season. I think Antonio Conte might have made that mistake as well. I'm not going to exempt him from it. He might have also believed that they could continue that form. I think he also, too, if he wanted to maybe dethrone Dyer and Davies, all he wanted, it seems like, was a Bastoni or a Gavardiol, like some really high standard sort of center back. We weren't able to provide that. Somebody could play
football? Yeah, that would help.
The thing is, though, no club was able to get those guys, though, that summer. No. So then it was like, we knew that we had a very poor defense, but then we were only accepting like the highest quality coming in, and then we ended up with nothing. And
exactly.
Then we paid the price for that, I think.
And what nonsense, right? How can you be in the same league as teams? Like, and look, I don't want to Chelsea.
It was like us competing for Jude Bellingham. It was kind of like that. It felt like that.
Exactly. Or like we were the only other team that like put in a bid for fucking Lionel Messi when he was on a free. We're like, yeah, why not? Maybe we'll get lucky. It's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Seriously. Because like, you look at teams like Chelsea, right? And they have all these fucking players, and they keep buying more players, and they're all
They bought Badiashile, one of the guys we were linked with. They bought Fofana. Sure. They bought like 4 center backs that summer that they probably didn't even need as much.
Like, seriously, why are we going, okay, if we can't get Bastoni, if we can't get Guardiola, we'll get this French guy no one likes from La Liga on a loan. And look, he's probably been slightly better than I expected him to be, because I was expecting like everyone from Barca that I heard from and spoke to fucking hated Lenglet. And he's actually been halfway decent, but he's only been halfway decent because is in comparison to the absolute nonsense we have on our fucking squad at the moment. Like, these guys are literally robbing a fucking living. And I'm sorry to be so negative about it, but it's true. Like, these guys, like, how can we have, like, Sanchez, for example? I hesitate to be super negative about the poor guy because he's really copped it over the last couple of weeks.
Had a tough week.
But Jesus Christ, I mean, I could have told him, like, I could have told anyone, and all of us could have told anyone, months ago, years ago, that he just doesn't have whatever it is that you need to be a Premier League defender. Because you look at him, and I don't even hate that we bought him, because you look at him and you're like, that guy has the look of a Premier League defender. Like, he had the skills, he had the height, he had the attitude, and he never seems to give up on himself because he keeps coming back and trying again, and good on him. But he's not good enough, and you don't need years and years to learn that. You just don't.
You you look at the competition he's had, though, too, Ribsy, apart from the moment that Toby and Jan left, who he couldn't get a spot ahead of either, right? He couldn't get a spot ahead of Toby, couldn't get a spot ahead of Jan. Once it was Eric Dyer and Joe Rodon and Davies and these guys, he still struggled to, like, get a spot, like, convincingly ahead of those guys. And that's where it's like a real concern.
What did we pay for
Joe
Rodon?
Of all people, he struggled to get ahead of.
11 million.
Yeah,
we paid 14 actually, I believe, for Joe Rodon.
Okay, that's a lot. If it was
11 million,
John
we would have gotten
Kim
Min-jae for that summer. Yeah.
Seriously,
we're a joke. Like I just struggle to understand why we haven't rectified that back line. Like, we brought in Jose Mourinho, right? We asked him to work with a guy that he previously targeted in the UEFA Cup final, on and off the ball, with Man United. When he was managing Man United, he said to his United team, press Sanchez when he's on the ball and play the ball in behind him when he's off the ball.
Yep.
That's how bad he is. We expect him to work with a guy he's already highlighted his flaws, you know? Then you bring in a Nuno. You don't do anything for him. You expect him to work with the same crowd. And in fact, you're asking Nuno to get better out of a back line when Jose is more famous for getting, putting a good defense together. And then you bring in Conte and you ask him to suffer the same sort of fate. And we're asking these managers to turn water into wine, shite into gold. And it's just not possible. You know, it's like, when are we going to accept the point? These guys are not good enough. They're costing us. Not only are they costing us any momentum in the Premier League, they're costing us the cup competitions. And all of them, because I'm sick of it. People say to me, no, I keep them around as a backup. How many games are they really going to play as a backup? And I've always said, it doesn't matter how many games they play, because as soon as they step in, they're going to cost us. In the Premier League, they'll cost you a run of wins or a run of results. In the cup games, you can't get any further in the cup competitions because they're going to cost you there. And this is the point. You just got to stop hanging on to them. Stop the sentimentality. Just stop all the bullshit and hysteria around them and just call a spade a spade. We've seen it on the pitch time and time again. These guys lack. Even Ben Davies. Ben Davies has been the best of a lot of them this season, But at the end of the day, he's just not good enough on the football. He's not. And we shouldn't sit here and accept that. I have no problem maybe a Ben Davies being kept around, but Dyer or Sanchez, who are really, really costing us, and their errors are skulking. I could go down and watch the local under-9s and I wouldn't see some of this stuff, and it's just got to go. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing, and I'm fed up with it. It's just got to go. But Ribsy, one thing I do want to touch on to you with as well, just before you go, is I want to know, what manager do you want next to the door? Because I don't think I've sort of had your opinion on this. So what manager would you like to see take over Tottenham? You do see links with Amorim today, but is he the guy for you, or are you an Ange Postecoglou guy?
Well, I mean, I'm Australian, so of course, Big Ant, and also I'm a Queenslander, so man, he won us the A-League, man. As Brisbane Roar, the worst named football team of all fucking time. But exactly, yeah, terrifying. But seriously, that he dragged that team kicking and screaming to the cup. Like, they didn't want a piece of it. They were happy to just take their money and fucking, and just leave. And he was like, no, we're winning. You bastards, you're coming with me. And it was like, there's almost something uniquely Spurs-like about the way he won that A-League. I don't know if he could do it. He's a very charismatic
Yeah.
he's a wonderful guy. Like he's the kind of
He
guy
has a
that
Sean Dyche kind of like relatable, like, like
Exactly.
charismatic,
Exactly.
sort of like, down to earth. Everybody wants to be his friend. He would be actually with Sean Dyche when you like, who do you want to get a beer with? Like Ange would then rival Sean Dyche, for that answer. Like
and he's humble and you like him and man, he gets those players, they run through like the old saying, right? Oh, the players run through walls for him. But genuinely, with Big Ange, they do that. But Big Ange has not managed players like Harry Kane and Son Heung-min and Decky, who are genuine superstars, and they just run on different fuel than the kind of players that Ange is used to. So I think that he could probably, I genuinely think he could probably get pretty good results for Spurs in the Premier League. But I think we could, once again, in the same way that I'm talking about players, as much as I love Ange, because I think he's Australian and I think he's fucking brilliant, we can fucking do better. We can do better than like some guy from fucking Scotland. I'm sorry. We can get a real manager to come in and fucking do a good job for Spurs. We should be looking for the players that, like, all the time you see those players, they come in and they get into Villa or they get into Brentford or whatever, and you're like, this guy's really fucking good. How come they're not playing for us? Why are we putting up with the shit we're putting up with amongst our genuinely brilliant players that we have, and then we've got actual fucking, sludge in between them, just fucking up their game constantly. Like, in the same way, and I'm not calling Ange sludge because I fucking love the guy, but he's closer to sludge than the managers we should be getting. So I love it. I think he could do it. I think that he's brilliant, and if he did come in, I would run through walls defending him against you guys. But I also think we shouldn't fucking bring him.
Paul Hotspur is turning in his bed right now. His Postecoglou radar is waking him up. He'll be on here in a minute.
He's gonna fucking bust in through my back wall there like a fucking Kool-Aid man.
Well, look, Ange, sorry, I agree with you. Players will run through a brick wall for him. The job he's done at Celtic is phenomenal. But look, what I will say is I would rather an Ange Postecoglou over an Arne Slot, who seems to be sort of coming to the fore on the list. I would rather an Ange Postecoglou over him. But Ribsy, any last message for the Spurs fans before we let you go, brother? Bring a great call. Really enjoyed it.
Nothing for the Spurs fans, but just a message for you guys, man. I really fucking love getting on here. Like, I very rarely come on and talk to you guys, but I'm usually here during the matches, and I try. Yeah. I watch the shows after, then I skip through the bits I don't like, but I watch the bits, when I can. And I really love the community you guys here have built. I love the fact that you just let people just be themselves, and when they argue with you, you just argue back and stuff. Like, it feels like actually talking with friends who are Spurs fans instead of like something commercial and weird or whatever. So I really appreciate the way you guys do what you do, and
that's very nice.
And yeah. Love it, guys. So
appreciate you, and we'll see you for the painful Sunday. We'll see you for the painful
I'll
Sunday.
be around. I'll be there. I'll be swearing a blue streak in the fucking chat. So if you come around,
Nancy says, "Get this foul mouth Oz on again, Dave. He's talking a lot of sense."
No, I really like Ribsy. I've always enjoyed him coming on. Even some of the shows that I've missed this year, and I've seen Ribsy's been on. It's been a great conversation. So Ribsy, please try and get on to us. On with us a lot more if you can, my man. I enjoy having you on. It's a great conversation, and look, really kind words as well. So really appreciate that, Ribsy.
Thank you, man.
No worries, lads. You have a good one, eh?
Thanks for getting us started too. You got us on the right track as well. Got the people energized, I think, in some sense, even though it's still doom and gloom. It was still a good chat. Still a good chat. Thanks, Ribsy.
No worries.
Quickly, I never thought I'd find someone that swears just as much as me, but I have. I found my long lost brother.
Mate, the Irish and the Australians and the Scots, I think we're sort of kindred spirits somewhere, and also all related to one another, I'm sure. But
definitely.
The jar is full. The jar is full.
The
swear jar.
Well, Ribsy, really enjoyed that phone call. A great call in, my man. And look, we'll sit through the pain together on Sunday.
Yeah. Big up.
See you then, lads. See
you then, sir. Bye bye. Oh, what a great call by Ribsy.
Way too long since we had him on. Way too long since we had him on. He's normally here for I don't know. Like, I just feel like he's not really able to always make it. You know, the shows. It feels like because of the time zone and everything. But I really, it's been a while since we had Ribsy, and he talks a lot of sense.
He does. And do you know what's weird, right? Although he speaks about all the issues, somehow I feel like I come off that call happy. I don't know why. It's quality, absolute quality. But look, we've a few super chats to get to. Let's start getting through. Friends, but Jack, look, nobody's in Levy's pocket whatsoever, my man. Absolutely nobody.
I hope you're
nobody
kidding,
is, my man. THFC Till I Die says, have a great show. The internet man turned up, but we will rise. I do really believe in that. And I'm working on my second love, and something I did when I was younger. Be out in the next month. Will be out in the next month or so. Come on, you Spurs. But Dermo, hopefully you can get some good internet in there. Mine has been absolutely, playing up lately. So hopefully, Sean said he was joking on that, Jacko, by the way.
I hope you are, Sean.
Look, Dermo, my internet's been playing up, so hopefully, I'd say yours is even worse living down by the sea. I'm intrigued to see what's coming out, so maybe text me and let me know. But Dermo, have a good day with Dervla, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. We also have Drew Zillis, big up, lads. Just seen Fabrizio news. Nagelsmann withdrawn from Chelsea talks. Tight jeans back in there. Big up, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Do you know what it is? I think I have a problem with skinny jeans, is because if I put them on, I'd probably look like a 10-pin bowling ball, if you want me to be brutally honest, my man. I don't really have the figure for skinny jeans. That's why I'm probably dead set against them. But, I also have the opinion that maybe people want a Nagelsmann because he is more of the modern guy, the skinny jeans and stuff like that. And if that is the case, we can't appoint him just because of that, and that concerns me a little. But, look, if Nagelsmann, I'm just going to say this, if Nagelsmann comes in, I'm going to try and get behind him. I'm going to try and see what he can bring to Tottenham. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think the guy's a bad manager. I just don't think he's the right manager for Tottenham Hotspur. And that's why I'm sort of so dead against it. And look, I could be wrong. I've been wrong on many things and I've been right on many things. I could be completely wrong. I just don't think this guy is the right guy to take this club forward, in my opinion. And that's where I'm at with it. And what I will say is, Drew, I just hope the fact that Nagelsmann is pulling himself out of that it doesn't mean that Poch has more or less got the job, or, that's what sort of concerns me, my man.
Speaking of that, there has been just sort of, it's hard to know what to make of this, right? Because I think Pochettino has been linked with the Chelsea job. They have been contacting him, right? But now since Nagelsmann has pulled out, basically he has been sort of listed as being in pole position, basically for it. And I think Matt Law, even of the Daily Telegraph, someone who I think comments on both Spurs and Chelsea, said Maurizio Pochettino is in pole position for Chelsea job after Julian Nagelsmann drops out. The way I look at that, though, is he was always seen as the second choice. Now he is basically the first choice amongst the Chelsea hierarchy. But it's up to Pochettino to be a man of his word, Drew. Up to Pochettino to be a man of his word. We'll find out.
And we've got EL279 say if everyone looks like that in skinny jeans. maybe. But Drew, this is what I wanted us to act earlier on this manager situation, because we've got to act smarter and maybe quicker than the rest of the clubs. Look, all I would say is hopefully that maybe there is a manager lined up and he's already, sort of accepted the job, and he said he won't take it until the summer, and we're just holding out. I hope that is the case. But right now, what I'm looking at sort of does concern me a little because, look, we're delaying the process. Look at Chelsea now. They've already interviewed Enrique, already, contact with Poch. Same as Nagelsmann. No, Nagelsmann has pulled himself out. But, Chelsea is sort of at least ahead. And I know you can't believe everything you read and see in the media either. I fully get that. But like, even if we do end up waiting till the summer for the right option, like PSG or Real Madrid be looking for a new manager? Other clubs would be looking for a new manager, and we might actually end up further down the pecking order. I just think it's a risk, Drew. I think it's a huge risk, my man. But big up, brother. Good to see you in the building. Hopefully you're keeping well, Drew. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Moondog says, afternoon, lads. What a mess we're in. Moondog.
Outdoing ourselves yet again, Moondog. Outdoing ourselves with the news. Paratici news, Daniel Levy interviews, those come once in a blue moon. I mean, we're just finding a way for the news just to keep on piling up with just drama. It's impressive, actually. You just think that today or this week would just be a big build-up to the Newcastle game, but no, Spurs have found a way to, bring up a million different other distractions. And it's almost like the Newcastle game is kind of an afterthought, really, with what everything else is going on.
Yeah. Do you know what, Moondog? The only thing that keeps me safe is when I just sit here and I look and stare at the Harry Kane piece you made me. I'll just show everyone once again because it's absolutely beauty. But I just sit here, I stare at it, my man, and it just sort of takes me away from the harsh realities of what's going on. So big up for that, my man, because it gets me through some dark times this season. So big up, absolutely love it. And if anyone is looking for one-off pieces or anything like that, feel free to get in contact with me or Moondog. You got that special person in your life who loves Tottenham Hotspur. Stuff like this, one-off pieces, is what you need.
Put you with the right man. Big up, Moondog. I hope you're enjoying your Friday, though, my friend. And let me know also as well if you're even at all looking forward to this Sunday match, or if you're kind of just, basically just covering your eyes and, just dreading it, because a lot of us, maybe look at this match as, again, an opportunity to maybe potentially keep us relevant in this European hunt, or we might just get yet again quite humbled. So let me know, Moondog.
Love it. Well, big up, Moondog, and hopefully you are keeping well. So, do you know what, actually, randomly, I was sitting there thinking about you last night. I was like, I haven't seen Moondog in a while. I wonder how he is. So it's actually good, to see that you're in here today, my man. Big yourself up, brother. But look, let's keep this show on the road. Let's see who... Oh, it's my Friday argument. Let's get her on. Here we are. It's Mia, the one and only. Big up, Mia. How are you keeping? Yeah. No, Mia. So we'll move on to Ryan then, and we'll come back to Mia, or we take this super chat here from Drew as well. Says, totally understand.
Mia, let us know in the private chat if you're there, Mia. Let us know in the private chat.
Yeah, big up. He says, totally understand, Dave. Just ribbing you. Look, I know that. I know that. I absolutely love it. He says, I'd love Poch back. The next guy, did any of us think Poch was the best choice back in 2014? Big up. And actually, that's a fair point, Jack. When... I remember myself when Poch was appointed in 2014. I was like, I'm not so sure on this guy. Look, he's done a good job at Southampton and that, but it's a huge risk for a club like Tottenham. He's had one season in the Premier League, and it's look how that turned out. You think Drew has a good point here? That maybe the obvious choice isn't the best choice, Jack? I think is what he's getting at, maybe.
Yeah, and also as well, right? There can often be a guy that just proves you wrong, or a guy that maybe doesn't have exactly a huge resume behind him, but ends up proving to be one of the next up-and-coming managers, one of the next up-and-coming sort of minds in the game. And you have to sometimes consider that. Pochettino was one of them. Someone gave him that option. Someone gave him that opportunity. And it was Spurs, right? Weren't we looking at, who was it, Dave? The Dutch manager, I believe at the time we were kind of more interested in. I think it was a Dutch manager that we were trying to go for instead of the likes of Pochettino at the time. So it just shows that, when you maybe give a guy, let's say like an Ange Postecoglou, a Company, maybe an Arne Slot, guys who, really don't have a ton of experience and probably should get maybe a bit more before they take on a job of this size. Still, you should get behind them because you never know. They could surprise you and they could end up being, right, still one of the better managers or better minds of the game. And then everybody would be like, geez, how'd they find that? How'd they find that guy? De Zerbi right now, good example.
Look, fair point, Drew. Absolutely fair point. That maybe the obvious choice isn't necessarily the best choice. I fully agree with you on that one, my man. Look, I just want a manager coming in so I know what direction I can go. We're going down, really, to be honest with you, Drew. But absolutely great point there, my man. Big yourself up, brother. And then we've got Moondog. Let me know, Drew. No Shawnee today. You must be missing him. I know you're his number one fan, my man. Big up, Drew. And then we've got Moondog. I will watch the match as usual. I think 3-1 to us.
Come on, Moondog.
Do you know
I
what?
made up a 2-1 scoreline when I spoke up to me. I have no idea how we'll win 2-1, but I can't really predict us losing or in any sort of manner. But I don't see how it could happen, the 3-1. But I believe that was the scoreline, or it was 3-2 last time we went to Newcastle. So that was under Nuno, and Eric Dyer had a fantastic own goal, one of the best own goals I've ever seen, really.
And then you had Hugo Lloris's blunder at the home game with Eric Dyer standing there doing the YMCA instead of
That
going
was
back
less
to the goal
funny.
line.
That was more infuriating. I remember Moon Boots' was actually more hilarity at the time because we were, whatever it was like 3-1, I think, in that situation. Just he more made it, a bit more nerve-wracking for us just to make it fun.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Moondog, I really do hope we can turn up, because for me, this really is last chance saloon, and we've left ourselves in a position. Even if we do get, beat Newcastle, you still got to go and beat United and Liverpool as well. So we've left ourselves in quite a precarious position, Moondog. But look, let's wait and see what happens. I've gone 2-1. I don't 100% believe it in myself. I just can't predict Tottenham to lose. I never will, my man. It's not in me. But big up, Moondog. Really appreciate the support. And I think, Jack, the Dutch manager, I think you're talking about.
Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, Van Gaal.
So there you go. It could have been Van Gaal instead of Pochettino. Big up, everyone. Thanks for reminding me.
Big up. Well, we do have Mia back from daydreaming about Romero, so let's get her back on. She's probably all happy now that she's had her little dream about Romero. How are you, Mia?
Yeah, Joe, what it was Tequila saying in the comments that I could be his assistant, his personal assistant. That's what got me dreaming. I asked him how personal, because that was a very important question.
There by his side any moment, any day. Yeah, best assistant in the world. But Mia, speaking of maybe a Romero.
I'll be hands-on with him, that's for sure.
Won't let him out of your sight. Romero needs probably a decent defense alongside him for the Newcastle game. What do you think, though? Like, is it a back four that Stellini's going to go for? Is it a back five? Because I think this is maybe a good place to start off with, unless you wanted to talk about Paratici and that sort of business. But I don't know where you want to start. Do you want to start with Newcastle?
No, we can talk about that, and then we can maybe... we can talk about Newcastle, and then I wanted to actually touch on something that we haven't really touched on too much, is about this managing, because like with the Chelsea situation, because obviously we've already spoken. I'll speak to you guys too much, I've spoken about all this with you. But yeah, I definitely think that
Nagelsmann out of the race.
Change it up for the game, but I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, you don't think he's going to?
Yes, I was going to talk about the Newcastle game first, but yeah.
Okay, got you. Talking about the Newcastle game.
I don't think he's going to change it.
Just on that quickly,
sorry,
do you not
I think I'm lagging. I'm really lagging again today. I don't know what's going on.
It's all right.
That's all right. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Don't worry. I was just going to say then, for Stellini, you said he's going to have to make some changes, but is it possible for him to go for a back four? Is there a combination of some kind that he could maybe muster?
I don't know if there really is. That's the problem, and that's why I don't think he'll change it, because I don't think we've got the pace to do it, unfortunately.
Do you not think we're at the point though, Mia, where...
I think it's too because of Porro, because Porro isn't very good.
I'm going to shut up because I keep cutting her off, so I'm going to put myself on mute, Jack.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It's just because I'm lagging, Dave. It's me. It's my fault. The kids are home and taking up the internet.
That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Maybe finish. What were you going to maybe finish your point on? Maybe with the lineup. How about take us through the lineup then, Mia? Like what your thoughts are. Maybe what you could see Stellini doing, and maybe also what you think he should do.
I think that he's going to stick with what we know. He's going to bring in. I think he's probably going to come in for Longley if Longley can't play, which I think he looks like he is not, because we don't know anything yet, do we? We don't know much about it. So it looks like it will be, I think he'll be in a Tanganga, and I don't think he'll risk Sanchez in, because I think that would be absolutely terrible of him, for his duty of care as well, for Dyer. So I think he'll go for the Porro, back three of Romero, Dyer, and Tanganga. And I think he'll still go for Skip and Højbjerg. And I think he won't change it because Sonny and Kane again. I really don't think he's going to change it.
Oh, that's a shame, because I think that's where we'll probably, our best chance of winning this game, I think, is there to be some type of personnel change, because we spoke about at length about how there needs to be sort of new injection of energy, new ideas, just people who want to be able to run and kind of basically just sort of break a bit of that sort of lull that seems to be in the squad right now. So if he doesn't make a change, that could be to our own detriment.
Yeah. Opinion. Do you know what I would like to see? I know we spoke about it yesterday, but then thinking about it a bit more, I wouldn't mind seeing the middle three of Sarr, Skip, and maybe Alfie Devine. Bring Alfie in.
Could you throw Kulusevski maybe in the middle? Maybe start. I was thinking Kulusevski in the middle, Richarlison on the right, Kane up top, Sonny on the left. If he could maybe find a way to sort of get maybe a four, basically, in a way, four kind of attackers in there. Somehow get Richarlison maybe in there.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that as well. There's lots of different ways, Jack. There's plenty of ways to cat, as they say. But yeah, I just think, to me, and I'm against all animal cruelty, by the way. It's a joke myself, so I wouldn't.
Mia, would you like to talk about the recent situation with the manager? Maybe Nagelsmann dropping out of the Chelsea race, as well as Pochettino, I mean, being linked as the number one to take it over now. I mean, you hope he's probably a man of his word and he wouldn't go to a Chelsea, but how do you see this situation? What do you make of it?
Well, he didn't say that exclusively. He said he wouldn't go to Arsenal. He didn't. That is one thing. So he's Chelsea. I think he would be. I think he would upset the Tottenham fans so much. But how much does he actually care about that? Does he care about getting a job first? I don't know. How much is he really that loyal? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he will do that, because it would upset a hell of a lot of fans. See it with Poch. Poch is a bit like that ex. You don't want it. You don't want them to have them either. That's how I feel about Poch. I don't want him to go to Chelsea, but I don't want him back either.
Dave, you want to give your question, maybe?
Yeah. I was just going to say, when it comes to, I just want to go back to maybe the Newcastle game just briefly. Yeah, I know we're not expecting Stellini really to change it up, right? I know we're not expecting that, but are we not at a point now where, look, we got rid of Conte. Well, he got rid of himself, but many fans weren't happy with the style of football. Stellini sort of continued it on, and it's not going anywhere. Are we not at the point where, this is really our last chance saloon? It really is do or die. Should we not just go for it? And at least if we go for it, fall on our sword rather than sit back and just accept the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I would listen. I want to change it, but I just don't think that Stellini will. That's my point. It's not that I don't want to change, because I should change it. Absolutely, we should change it. But I don't know what. Get that every time there's a lineup, I predict exactly what it's going to be because he is quite predictable in his lineup. The changes.
Yeah. Look, that's one thing Stellini has been. He's been very, very predictable. And look, you could say maybe that's down because of the injuries we're carrying at the minute and stuff like that. I just think we should look to change it up. I think we should go for it rather than, just accept, what we've seen all season from this sort of formation and stuff like that. But Mia, anything else you want to sort of speak about before we let you go? And also plug the show we done yesterday. Tell people why they need to get over and check it out.
Oh yeah, you got to check out the Irish Hotspur takeover that happened at Spurs Between the Lines.
Literal takeover
Jack
almost. I mean, you had to stop us
to
at
come
one
on
stage.
and Big they did. We did have a bit of a Dave takeover because when he goes into a rant, so I just sat for quite a while. But no, it was such a good laugh, boys. Honestly, I really did enjoy our chat. It was really, really fun. Sorry about the lagging. I would be on long low day, but it's really lagging today.
That's all right. That's all right, Mia. I mean, there's also, bad days, like you said. People are online. Maybe they're downloading, some Ultimate Team or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's just how it is, Mia. And we do appreciate, though, you having us on because it was a good chat. And we appreciate, letting Dave just basically take over and have his own therapy session on someone else's channel, right? Where you kind of let him free, basically. You set him free. He was no longer under the, restrictions of Jack.
No, Joe, what? I'm going to send him the bill, Jack. Don't worry. I'm charging for that lesson.
Exactly right. Dave, you're on mute, actually. But everybody, please check out her channel, please. And yeah, Dave.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I'm an absolute difficult guest on panels. That I just sometimes when I just have too much to say, I can't help it. I need to be better at that. But thanks for letting me have the Dave takeover yesterday. It sort of, help me relieve some stress. So I appreciate that.
Definitely. Love it.
No worries.
Well, Mia, we hope you have a good Sunday.
But yeah, I've got loads of other content I've done. I did my own.
Yeah. Plug your channel. Sorry, I interrupted that. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I did do content about Paratici as well. Yeah, go over here what I said as well. Nice. I did a bit with on that next FC Dyer so as well. Interview as well. I spoke about that on my live and with you guys. So there's plenty of content that I've done over the last few days. It feels like I've not come off my computer for the last few days. Everything's been going on.
Well, everybody,
feels like that, definitely.
Mia, big yourself up and we'll speak to you again, hopefully over the weekend, my dear.
Alrighty. We'll see you soon, Mia. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Mia.
See you, Mia. Thank you. Bye-bye. Everybody, so basically what she was saying there near the end is, she's put out her thoughts on the Paratici situation. She put out her thoughts on the Levy interview. And she's there's also a pre-match show for the Newcastle game to come. So make sure you get over there, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and check out what she has to say on it as well. If you're an early riser in the morning, which majority of times I try not to be. I don't think it's healthy for me, but me is. So, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, get up, get over and check out what she has to say on all things Tottenham.
Nice.
But look, we will keep this moving. Disappointed. I might actually have to start funding or helping me get better internet because I miss my arguments on the flight.
You missed your daily dosage.
I miss it. It's hard to argue when things are lagging. So we need to get that sorted out so we can have a proper good old ding dong. She helps me relieve the stress from the Monday to Friday and going to the weekend stress free. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But look, let's keep this moving on. The next guest we have on is the one and only Ryan Trestain. Ryan, how are you keeping, my man?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, not too bad, Dave, man. Not too bad.
Look, we'll start with Paratici, of course, getting the sack. Look, I don't want to get into did he deserve the sack. Of course, it was always going to happen when his appeal failed. But do you think he's left Tottenham in a better place than the squad? I would say in a better place than the squad he inherited.
Well, I think anybody could have left that squad in a better place, Dave. Even you and Jack could have done a much better job than anybody else. Yeah, I mean, Dave, right? Have you ever heard of the saying, ever done the biggest shit on road? Right. Basically, it's a saying that the English have, yeah, right? And that's like, cheers, Derek. Basically, that's what the club is, but it's the biggest shit on road, but you can't get rid of it now. Because literally, it's a joke. the whole club is it's a bit like what Jack said, except it's a bit different because it's collapsed. Instead of it falling down where there's a fire around the club, right? Instead of all the fire going around the club, the fire's actually at the club, and it's it's falling in on itself. The club is falling in on itself. The fire has taken too much of a blaze, and there's no firefighters there to put the fire out. So
I described it, Ryan. I described it, Ryan, as the final scene in the Fight Club, where you're watching all the buildings and all the skyscrapers sort of crashing in around it. And the only thing you can be hopeful is, Ryan, is that maybe potentially there's something new, something like that sprouts out of it, right? Like after a volcanic eruption where everything is destroyed, technically a new landscape is formed, right? A new sort of horizon is made. So there's something maybe positive about that, but you never know. It could be just another disaster that's made right after this disaster.
No, do you know what though? The disaster it's always and that's the next thing I was going to say. Yeah, right, about the managers. Right, it doesn't really matter who comes in because it's always the same thing that's going to happen over and over again. So like, we're just going to be going around in circles. It's like being at a circus, but going around and round in circles. It's a joke.
So are you?
And until Levy leaves, we're not. We should. Do you know what? I would like everyone's saying about. Well, I saw in the chat because I've got my other phone that's got the chat on. So basically, right, I saw someone say that about him being a bit of a waste of space. Right? Well, maybe we need a bit of a waste of space to give them players a good clip round the bloody ear hole.
But look, you give them guys too much space, they'll start panicking. It doesn't matter if there's anybody near them. But, Ryan, where do we go from here then? Because, look, it's clear that, I'm of the opinion as well. I don't think Daniel Levy knows how to get us out. I think he's lost all sense of direction. I think the stadium took up all his time and he's neglecting, and all the problems have built up, and they're all coming together as one now, and it's kind of like it's too big. I don't believe he knows how to sort it out. Are you at that opinion as well? And how do we get out of this mess now?
Dave, there is only one way out of it. And we've all called for it, and we all hear it in the stadium. We all know what's the problem, and we all know what needs to happen. But the problem is, the only person that doesn't see that being a problem is the person who is the problem.
So
that's the only way to get out of this. That's the only way to get out of this. And I've read on the internet today, right, that Levy will not accept anything more than 3.5 billion to 4 billion to sell the club. So I don't know. I want to think that I can be optimistic about this, but then I don't know how to be optimistic about this at the moment. And to be honest, right, I want to get a lot off my chest, but I'd be on here for 2 hours just trying to do that. I'm sorry, but I can't waste everybody else's take everyone else's time up as well as mine.
Do you know what?
But funny
enough, a phone call because I could probably use a 2-3 hour session as well.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Dave? Right, I'm actually because the reason why I've not had a chance to jump on recently and everything is because I was moving, so I've had to put everything on YouTube at the back. So, like, basically, what I've had to do is literally stop all that. But on Tuesday, I'm going to be starting with the thing that we was talking about. So on Tuesday, I'm going to start that up, and you can jump on if you want for an hour or so, and Jack as well if you want to, and we can all just do an hour or two or whatever.
Therapy session sounds good, man. Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Get in contact, and we'll sort out a day and a time. 100%, my man. A good therapy session is what's needed.
Just the three of us. Yeah, and then bang it out afterwards.
We'll just and then we'll just scream at a wall afterwards, Ryan. Don't worry. And what do you make actually, Ryan? Sorry, what were you going to say? Actually, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say that that's really what I've got to say on the Paratici thing. But what was you going to say, Jack? You was going to say about
Well, we have a big overhaul, and I know you kind of said there's not a lot to be optimistic about, but what do you make of how this summer, I mean, big moves are going to need to be made, Ryan, because regardless of what you're optimistic about or lack of optimistic about, like there is big moves are going to need to be made. New director of football needs to come in, new manager needs to come in, a whole new backline, a whole new goalkeeper needs to come in. So many new changes are actually going to be made. It's hopefully going to be a busy summer. So I'm kind of slightly optimistic about that. I'm happy about that knowing it will be hopefully a busy summer at Spurs. And if it isn't a busy summer at Spurs, we'll all be absolutely livid because it needs to be a very busy summer. So maybe there's that to look forward to.
No, Jack, I can tell you straight away, knowing the way that Levy's going around things, and Dave's already got a smirk on his face, that he knows what I'm about to say. So do I really need to say what I need to say? It'll be as quiet, yeah, right, as it is around where I'm living now at night.
Daniel Levy was at the match, Ryan. He watched us concede 3 goals to Bournemouth at home. I mean, surely, I mean, it's obvious to everyone. I mean, probably at a certain stage, it gets obvious even to people like him where the problem lies. Like, I guarantee you this summer, his first thing of business, or at least Scott Munn's and other people's business, should be center backs, goalkeeper, right? I mean, it's so obvious. It's 2 + 2.
Well, yeah, but then Jack, right? What people haven't realised is, yeah, right. And if we haven't realised what's going to happen by now, right? Then we're never going to realise it. Even to Levy, it's what's blatantly obvious in his face is not actually going to be obvious to him. It's what's blatantly obvious to all of us, to me, you, Dave, and the rest of the Spurs supporters, right? What's obvious to all of us is blatantly not obvious to Levy. It's blatantly staring him in the face, right? It's like a wet fish, whacking him in the face with a wet fish, saying, this is what you need to do. But then, he's still not, he's going to be like, why did you whack me for? With that wet fish? I don't know what, like, do you know what I mean? It is ridiculous.
What do you make of the... What do you make of the interview he gave yesterday? Now, look, before I let you answer, I think we all got to maybe understand that the questions that were put to him were never going to be what we wanted him to answer, because it was at Cambridge, university, and it's more of a business crowd, you would say, there, rather than, fans of the football club or fans of football. So, but look, in general, what do you make of some of the answers? Were there any answers where you were maybe thinking, definitely don't agree with that, he's got that completely wrong?
Well,
was there anything you actually agree with him over, anything?
I can't look. I've got a chance of agreeing with you and Jack and my cat all at the same time. Literally, I've got more chance of agreeing with the 3 of you than agreeing with whatever Daniel Levy's ever got to say, because it's like, what? And do you know what? It's something that you said yesterday in a video where you said about the trophies, but I can't remember exactly what you said now. If you can remind me what you said, it'd be just the outskirts, because I can't remember.
So I said 2 things on that. I said that, Enoch and Levy have the least amount of trophies than any other owner we've had previous. And also, when Levy made the comment about Arsenal's 5 years, us finishing ahead above them. Well, Arsenal won 2 FA Cups in that time. Yeah, well, basically, yeah, right. And that's another thing I want to go on afterwards about what is going on there as well. But let me start with the trophy situation, right, where he doesn't bring up the trophy situation. And do you know why that is? I can tell you why that is, because he's not a winner. He doesn't want to win things. He wants to see this club go downhill. At least Alan Sugar, right? No offense, but Alan Sugar would have actually had the best interest in for the club than what Levy's ever had, to be honest. And that's why he didn't bring it up. And I don't agree with nothing that Levy ever says, because it's what he comes out with stinks more than what's in my cat's litter tray most of the time. Yeah, what you're referring to is where I said, they asked him, what his maybe biggest achievement at Tottenham was. Yeah. He mentioned finishing above Arsenal for 5 years. And he didn't even mention winning that. I think it was Carling Cup. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
I was going on to the wrong part of what you said. So yeah, but then that's funny, yeah, right? That he says that his biggest achievement is being above Arsenal. Oh, well, that's funny because where are we this season? Where are we this season? Can someone in the chat or Dave or Jack even explain to me where we are this season and where Arsenal are?
Look, do you know the difference there, Ryan, is that, you know, Arsenal board had an opportunity last season to sack him. Their fan base were in meltdown with Arteta, right? But they said, hang on, you know, from what we're seeing internally, we're keeping this guy and we're going to get rid of, like, you know, influential players that have been here some time, like an Aubameyang, people like that, right? You know, they backed Arteta and got in the guys that he wanted them to get in, like an Odegaard and stuff like that. You know, they've done the right things. We had an opportunity. We were sort of at the same point where fans were putting a lot of pressure on Conte. We could have tried to, back him, maybe appease him, and hopefully keep him and move on. But it looks like Conte didn't want that either. But it's like, you know, we had Pochettino. You know, you look at Liverpool. They could have easily sacked Klopp this season. They didn't. They're going to back him. You're going to rebuild, and that's maybe what we should have done with Pochettino.
Yeah.
So a couple of examples there of, you know, sticking by a manager, stick with the manager and keep investing. You know, Man City brought in Guardiola. He's way off the Premier League first year. They could have said, oh, he's not cut out for the Premier League. This ain't going to work. But they didn't do it. They continued to back him, continued to invest him. And that's why I was also shocked with what Levy said, where he was on about, you know, in the Premier League, managers are here for, you know, people want managers to be here for a long time. They're almost bigger than the club. Whereas in Europe, they're handing out 2-year contracts. And it's kind of like, but when you look around the Premier League, Sir Alex Ferguson had a reign on it, you know. Arsene Wenger won trophies with Arsenal. He was there, longevity. Liverpool went on to win every cup available to a European club side, you know, domestically and in Europe, and the Club World Championship. They had Klopp here for some time. Look at the success Man City has had. And it's kind of like we don't even, he doesn't even recognize that the Premier League is different to Europe. In the Premier League, you know, even if you use Pochettino as an example, look where we got to under Pochettino by having him here for quite some time. Longevity or a continued project is what you need in the Premier League. Premier League is so much more competitive and has much more financial power than any other league across Europe.
Yeah, and do you know what the thing is as well, Dave, right? Because if Levy really, really wanted to finish above Arsenal, yeah, right, every single season, then that means we should be winning the title this year. But do you know why we're not? I think everybody knows exactly why we're not winning the title this year. It's not because of our strike force, because our strike force is okay. I mean, if you take out like Richarlison, who hasn't really played well this year, right? We've got a really good strike force, right? We've got when they're on there, David Bentancur in there, a very, very good midfield. Where do we lack? It's in that same place every time. And like I said to Jack on Monday, I'm getting sick and tired of talking about the same thing over and over again. And I think you're getting to the bare bones of it, where you're like,
Ryan, I've been just sort this out. I've been talking about that defense for 3 years now. You know, 2.5 to 3 years. I'm just fed up with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel now, Dave. Exactly how you feel. I don't. And to be honest, right, Newcastle, I don't want to say this, right, but I've got to be honest about it, right? You know me, I'm usually one of these people that are optimistic about everything, Dave. You know me by now well enough to know that I'm optimistic about absolutely everything. Well, am I optimistic about this weekend? No. We're going to get our asses handed to us. Because that defence does not know how to defend. They switch off, and people always know when they're going to switch off, and then it's bye-bye. Yeah. Good night.
Yeah.
And then we're already at that point, about 2-0 down already, and then we're still trying to scratch and claw, and then what are we expected to do then? Because then they all just sit back, say, well, come on then, come at us. Let's see what you've got now. We ain't got the answers for it. And that's not because of Harry or Son. That's because we sat back and our defence is shite.
Do you know what it is, though, Ryan? We're at a point in the Premier League now where average is no longer acceptable, and you can't get by with it either. You know, you just can't. You've seen how costly it's becoming. So, look, we need a new number one. We need to overhaul that back line, and then let's see where we're at on the pitch.
Yeah.
But Ryan, great call in, my man. A lot of people saying you sound like Ben Kaufman.
Hey, well, I don't know that whether that's a compliment or if that's actually an insult, but you know, I'll take it if it's a compliment. But Scotland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Do you know Greenock?
Part of it.
Yeah, I've moved over to there now, so yeah, nice. It's literally about. I can literally see the Clyde, the River Clyde, right from where I am. So
unreal.
Yeah, so it's quite nice around here, to be honest. But yeah. So you know, I mean, now I'm here. I can now start focusing on what's more important now, because you know, like getting this all started now on YouTube is going to be is the next thing. So that's going to be the first video will be coming out Tuesday. I don't know if it's going to be a live one or if it's going to be a pre-recorded. It might be a pre-recorded, but yeah, I mean, like we need to. I need to get you and Jack on at the same time to get some therapy, man, because it's got to the point, man. It's got me to the point now, Dave, right, where I know people. I said this. I don't know if you saw Monday's phone.
Yeah.
What I said, or I don't know if you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not going to repeat what I've said but then I'm being called a loose cannon. For what? Because I'm passionate about the club. I'm being a loose cannon. I don't think so.
Look,
but
Ryan,
I can understand that's people's opinions, and I can understand that. But calling me a loose cannon, if that's how they feel, then that's fine. But like, I'm passionate about the club.
Do you know what, Ryan? You know, it's the internet. You know, it's the internet.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's gonna love you, but you know what I would say is never let someone's opinion, if it's a negative opinion, stop you from doing what you want to do. You want to create a channel, you want to go for it, you do it, my man. And look, get in contact with myself and Jack. We'll arrange a day and a time to be able to get on together with you, and we'll do a show.
Yeah.
Also, hopefully you settle in the area you're after moving into. Hopefully you've settled into the house as well, and hopefully it creates a good home for you, my man.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, Dave, afterwards, because I'm on my other account on my other phone, I'm going to just like put the link in the chat so that you can like click on it on whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing up at the moment, but like if anyone wants to, they can like subscribe, and then I'll definitely be putting up a video on Tuesday. So.
Yeah, 100%. Put the link in there, my man, and you know, we'll give it a plug for you, brother.
Yeah, all right, mate. All right, Dave. Well, hopefully your sister gets well soon.
No, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, brother. You know, I'd say to you, Ryan, as well, go down to your local, get a nice cold one, make some friends down there, and forget about Tottenham for the night, right?
Oh, trust me, I'm already forgetting about them. But once I started my channel, I'm not gonna. Do you know what? It's actually that bad, Dave. I don't even think I'm gonna watch it this weekend. Even though it's on Sky, I don't even think I'm gonna watch it this weekend because I know what the result's gonna be. If anyone wants me to predict the result, I'll tell you it's gonna be a 3-1 loss.
Do you know what, Ryan? Look, it seems like that. You know, I just struggle to see us putting any sort of cohesive performance together. You need to be a team, right, to sort of get these big results away from home. And I don't see where we're going to pull it from overnight. I really don't. And I don't like sitting here being pessimistic. I don't like sitting here with the thought of maybe thinking, you're going into a game and you're already anticipating a negative result. Because I don't believe any of us Spurs fans should be in that predicament. You know, we've suffered enough. But look, it's the sign of the times. Get the season over and done with, and let's see where we go in the summer, right? But big yourself, brother. I really appreciate your time this afternoon.
I've just put the thing in the chat as well, so you'll see that in a minute.
Grant, I'll come up there in a minute, and what I'll do is I'll give it a plug for you, right? All right?
Yeah. All right, mate. Cool. Okay, Dave, anyway, enjoy the rest of the show, mate. I'll be watching you through my Xbox or whatever, or watching you through my phone.
You know what I'd say to you? Don't, because it's only going to wind you up. Go to your local, forget about Tottenham, my man. That's what I say.
No, but I love you too much, Dave and Jack, so I'd love to hear what everyone else has got to say. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate that. Well, look, Ryan, great talking to you again. Great seeing that you're good as well and in full health. And we'll speak to you again soon, my man.
Yep. All right, then. Dave, I'll probably speak to you Sunday, probably.
Yeah. Hopefully the result's the right end. See you, my man.
Yeah. See you later, mate.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
There you have it, guys. Ryan Trestin. Do you know what? Really nice guy. I really like that guy. When he puts the link in here, just you'll get over and show him support. Like I said, anyone that has a Spurs channel, you know, we're out here against Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, all them. Why can't Spurs channels dominate YouTube for quite some time, like Liverpool and United once have done? But really good to see that Ryan is in full health. Actually, I haven't seen him in quite some time, so it is nice to see. Adrian Cheese says, sticking my neck out and says, son to score with a Pedro Porro assist. Well, do you know what, Adrian? I would absolutely, look, if it means we win, happy days. I don't really care who scores. You know, Jack was saying this on Me's channel actually yesterday, where he's saying, you know, son's got the last couple of openers for us, or the first goal for us the last couple of games. And then, you know, against Newcastle at home this season, Son also had an early chance where he's put in as well. You know, and hopefully he takes it, because if we can nick one, it might open the game up a little for us. So let's see what happens, Adrian. As for Pedro Porro, but he was absolutely atrocious the other day. I thought he was okay going forward, some okay crosses going into the box. Defensively, absolutely atrocious. He does need to work on that 100%, Adrian. Big up, brother, and hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. ELG, I appreciate that, my man. I appreciate that. Being honest, I don't drink, brother. I do not drink whatsoever. And, you know, that's just my choice. You know, my choice. I just don't drink. But you know what? You're ever going to a Tottenham game, let's meet up. I'll buy you a pint of Guinness and I'll have a Coke, my man. Big yourself up, brother. Really appreciate the kind words, my man. But look, let's keep this moving. The next guest we have in the building is the one and only Ash Maddock. Let's get him on and hear what he has to say. But look, Ash, brother, how are you keeping? The next guest we have in the building is the one and only Ash Maddock. Let's get him on and hear what he has to say. But look, Ash, brother, how are you keeping?
I'm good, bro. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud. Have you got me on in background?
I can't hear you. What's going on? Hold on. My volume's moving nuts. I can't hear nothing. I need to plug out. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
One, two.
I can't hear you at all. Let me log out and log back in. I don't know what's going on.
Grand, I'll get on the next guest and grand, perfect. Ashmatic, it's like you wanted me to sing him a nursery rhyme or something to get him going. Absolutely love that. And Sean Maddox says, I love Ash, has passion for this. Look, Ash Matty, you know, no doubt about it, he loves this club. I really love listening to him when it comes to the tactical side of things. He's got incredible knowledge on that side. Sean Maddox, big up, my man. Let's try him again quickly. Ash, are you there?
Yeah, my brother. Are you good?
Yes, my man. Yes, good.
Hey,
good.
The Irish, you know. Hey, listen, what's good? It's a Friday, man.
Well, look, you know, it's not a good Friday. Paratici, well, it might be for you if you wanted Paratici out of here in the first place. But look, what do you make on the resignation of Paratici? Obviously, it had to happen, but does he, you know, has he improved the squad? Has he maybe made the situation worse? What's your point of view?
Well, you know what? It's a mixture. It's a mixed bag, because the managerial situation, the 70s the debacle, it was a stinker. Let's face it, Marv. It actually stunk.
Looks
but in
like
terms
we're going
of
that way again.
Yeah. But in terms of the players we brought in, I can see positives. It's a work in progress, because his tenure's been quite short. So maybe a year down the line or 2 years down the line, you're going to see some of the fruits of his labor. Who knows? Like, I see potential with Sarr, Basuma, and Bentancur, and they're all three signings underneath him. And that's a midfield, and that's like a lovely engine. They can all complement each other. They can all kind of interchange. I'd be very excited to see that, if that does happen, depending on who we bring in. So it's not all doom and gloom with Paratici. He did have some good moments, and I wonder who else he would have brought in. And the thing is, when he did come in, I think he's upgraded on Hitchin. I do believe he has upgraded on Hitchin. I think he's brought in a different caliber of player. And even Romero, I think he's one of the best centre backs we brought in for a long time. And Paratici was a part of that. So I can't knock him he's got the two wing backs. We eventually got the wing back situation right. So the wing backs, even a dodgy coming in, even though he's in the car crash, moving a bit nuts.
Did he get brutalized on that, Ash? Do you know? Was there any brutalized? Like, because I know there was people saying that maybe they're waiting for the breathalyzer results to come back and stuff like that. But I heard he just lost control of the car.
I have no idea. I didn't read up on it. I just saw it and I just laughed. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought that's so Spursy. I was like, of all the players, like, we just can't get anything right. We're always in the headlines. Just give us a day off, please.
Oh, do you know what? No matter, you're spot on. No matter what we do, who we bring in here, somehow we end up on the front page of the papers.
My brother, I just don't get it. Like, sometimes just be easy. Just focus on the managerial search and just leave it at that, man. But yeah, overall, I'm not mad at. I mean, I don't know if we can improve on it. It's going to be interesting to see who we bring in, and obviously Levy's in charge now fully. He's in charge of the actual managerial who comes in, and then if we don't find someone quick enough, he's in charge of the transfers. So the thing is with Levy, why he frustrates me.
Well, he didn't want that though, Ash, right? You know, he had Paratici in there to distance himself, and he's bringing in Scott Munn to distance himself. And again, you know, he didn't want it, but now he's got all the power again. What's going on? Yeah,
this is it, man. I just think like even when Paratici was in, he's brought in to kind of step back. That was the whole reason of bringing him in. But did he step back or did he micromanage? Because I don't know. In the January transfer window, that Porro deal dragged on for the whole window. And I was like, are you sure this is Paratici style? Like, this feels like Levy. And then at the last minute, guess who turns up? Paratici. Like, I felt like, not Paratici, Levy turns up and he's the one that gets the deal done. Like, but I thought you were staying away from football. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
But make it make sense. Like, I don't. So I'm smelling lies, bro. Someone's telling lies. I don't know who. And then even in the summer window, right? Even though we got the window done early. It was like, because we never got that centre back certified, it just felt like a flop because we knew that was one of our biggest areas and that was something that we need to improve on. And it just never happened. So I don't even come on here to talk about Mr. Levy, you know, but it always ends up back with him. Like, unfortunately, even down to like Spence, like the manager, Conte don't want Spence, but club signing. Do you know what I mean? He's getting involved with the Richarlison thing. You know what I'm saying? Club signing. And then again, in January, Dan Juma. I just feel like he's an opportunist. Like, when I was watching that YouTube thing, he said he fell into the club by accident. Opportunist. So does Aleppo change his spots? No, he doesn't. I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but people are asking for change and, you know, let's hope that Levy changes. I can't see it. I just think he's got his hands on it. And he just one of those people. He just is in his personality. He just needs to control it. He just can't help it. Even if he's in the background, he's still going to have a say, and he's still going to have his.
Because to relinquish control, Ash, it takes humility, right? It takes the acceptance of, like, it's like giving up, you know, a share of your own thing, a share of your own piece. It takes a bit of like acceptance of, like, you know what? This person actually might be better at this job than me. This person actually is better at, you know, guiding us in the way that we need to. And Daniel Levy is not the guy maybe to sort of think that out loud or say that out loud, that somebody could come in and do a better job than him at whatever it may be. That obviously we do know what it is. It's on the footballing side of things, but he's tried to bring in people that he can sort of lean upon, like a Paratici and people like that. It's not like he's completely, you know, resistant to the idea, but giving the keys to the palace or giving him the keys, you know, giving someone the keys to basically have free reign, free autonomy, he's never going to do. It looks like he doesn't have the humility to do that. It feels like.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I was just reading some quotes, right, from former managers. And it said, I'll read some. Martin Yole, yeah? Martin Yole's the first one. No disrespect to Spurs, the ownership and the management. I just don't fit the mold of who they would want. Like, there's another quote I've got from Harry Redknapp. If you have a chairman who understands football, you'd have a better chance. I'm not sure that ship sails at Spurs, right? And then I'll just read one more because I don't want to bore you. But when a chairman wants to take control, it doesn't always end up in the best interest of the manager, AVB. So it's like a history of managers saying the same old thing. I won't even talk about what Potts said. And
Yeah.
obviously what Conte Marino said, we all know that's well documented. So it's just like an onward trajectory. It's like it's history repeating itself, and it's nothing new. So when we're listening to the what's it called? Not Washington, Cambridge interview,
Yeah.
it was like I felt like that was a controlled interview, and it felt like, how can I make myself look good? I wouldn't be surprised if those questions he knew in advance, so he could answer them in a certain way, because
That's what we said.
it felt very like polished and refined, and it made him look good, if that made sense.
Well, this is
You know
the
what I
thing,
mean?
Ash. Why would he feed himself to the wolves? Why would he, when he's already under a bunch of pressure, he's already getting a bunch of spotlight that maybe is more than usual, you could say, for him. It's probably a bit louder kind of media noise around him than usual too. So, I mean, he's going to, if he wants to come out and give an interview, he's not just going to do it to just the average public. Like, he's going to do it in a very refined setting so that he knows that there aren't going to be any curveballs or anything thrown his way, so that he, like you said, looks good, like always. Like, he will, every question that's thrown his way, he's prepared to give the best possible answer, at least an answer that doesn't make him look silly or doesn't make him look, a bit, unsure of himself. And it's sad as it is, it basically was a bit of a PR stunt, I think, by him to make himself actually look a bit more, kind of open facing than he has been, of course. But of course, yeah, I don't know. It was very.
When was the last time? When was the last time he's done an interview like that in public, in front of an audience?
And well, that's the thing, right? If he doesn't do interviews often, they're going to be very, catered to him when he does do one. They're not going to be easy.
And also the timing as well. The timing of it all, like there was so much bad press, so much bad PR, and every time he goes out to a home game, they're singing his name, but not for the right reasons. Do you know what I'm saying? They're singing about Poch, right? They want Poch back. Is he listening to that? He's thinking, nah, man, we can't get Poch back, man. That's admitting mistakes. Right? That's admitting the mistakes that we did. Like, we could have given them a whole window to work with. We didn't. And now what? We bring him back in. No. I'm not accepting that I got it wrong. No way. No. You can go to Chelsea.
Yeah. It undermines his position if Poch comes back, because then the next questions will be, well, why didn't you give him that chance in the first place? Why have we wasted so much on managerial appointments? Why have we wasted so much in sort of the transfer window when we could have just gone down this direction in the first place? And, if you're going back to something that you had 4 years ago, in my opinion, it's probably an admission of failure, an admission of guilt, and it's kind of like, it'd be even more pressure on them. And that's why I believe we won't see Poch back in here. But I also disagree. I don't think that interview made Levy look good whatsoever, to be honest with you, because when he was asked about his biggest achievement, he went on to talk about finishing above Arsenal 5 years. He didn't even mention the trophy. The one trophy he's got in the cabinet, I think he forgot about it.
That's true. I'm just trying to think of like Levy inners. That's what I was thinking, their perception, because they're thinking, oh, look, all you guys want to do is focus on the bad things that were said, or you're just trying to highlight bad things, whatever. So I just thought from their perspective, or maybe a neutral, he might have looked good. But obviously we see through the bullshit and we hear we listen closely to what he's saying. But you're right. He spoke about us like we were a relegation club when he came, and he saved us. Like, disrespectful. Like, I just thought, yeah, Spurs have always, like, he could have said, he brought us from, like, not finishing on the top half of the table to get into Europe. That would have been more. And then he could have spoke about being in Europe and how we've advanced a bit more. I would have respected that a lot more. But obviously, this is Levy we're talking about. So
his answers were very vague as well. I wonder were they very sort of vague on purpose so that you couldn't pick too much between the lines.
This is it. I agree, man.
It'd be interesting. But Ash, there's loads of other things to talk about. We've got a big game this weekend. It's probably our final chance. We've got to win if we want any chance of maybe closing the gap or any chance of that top four. But we also need to beat Man United following up and Liverpool after that.
Yeah.
Do you see any way this Tottenham team can pull out that miracle? Can they galvanise anything that had at the back of the last season that helped us? Or do you think this season it's completely different and it's not going to happen?
For me, you look at Aston Villa as the blueprint. If you want to defeat Newcastle, you have to model that game. I remember when we played Aston Villa and they went 4 in midfield. Like they were very like congested in the middle.
Yep, they wouldn't let us
And-
go through the middle. They forced us out wide. Oh,
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yep.
Back. Sorry, man. Sorry, someone tried to call me. Evil
Fine,
people.
fine.
Sorry. Yeah. So basically, no, you were saying something, Jack. Did you say something?
I was going to say, I remember what Unai did. He basically, like you said, he compacted the midfield. He forced everyone out wide, and he basically made it impossible for us to ever try to break the lines up the central parts of the pitch. But he forced us into those wide areas. And I believe on that day it was like Sessegnon and Emerson. And so it was a genius move because those guys, as we know, struggle when they're being asked to do kind of creative things in those sort of scenarios. So we just ended up getting sort of just stuck, right? But also what's kind of sad about that Aston Villa game, just to remind you, we could have actually probably ended up having that game be a 0-0 if it weren't for two huge Hugo Lloris blunders, if you look at it, because he made two huge mistakes in that game that led to their goals. So
I purposely think Emre forced those situations.
Absolutely.
Bit like Bournemouth. We were forced to play from the back, and they
Douglas Luiz one was like that long shot, right? Then that was like all Hugo, and then I believe there was another one after.
That was really bad. But what the point I'm making is, certain times teams will set up tactically to force you into situations to make you make mistakes. And Bournemouth was a prime example when we played it out from the back. Sanchez has come on and he's played it into Porro. Now I reckon they did a few videos because out of nowhere it was almost like a trigger press. We pressed the keeper, we pressed the centre back, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 players are on Porro out of nowhere. And then before you know it, an interception happens and they score. So I reckon Newcastle, they're a very high pressing team. They've got a lot of energy. They've got players like Willock, who's box to box. They've got your Joe Linton, box to box. They got your Almiron, box to, like they really press. And they tried to win balls back in the high areas. And if you noticed how Aston Villa, what they did was they didn't play out from the back. They went more direct and they played over their midfield and they played over their front three. And that left like loads of 1v1 situations. And also what I thought what Aston Villa did well is when they got Ramsey and they got Buendia, they had the legs, they had the energy. And what they did was they got behind their front three, behind their middle three, sorry, and they were constantly running into the center, creating spaces out wide and creating spaces for their striker. I forgot his name.
Isaac Wilson.
No. I'm talking about Aston Villa. What Aston Villa did.
Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins. Yeah. So
he was running through the channels. And they were not getting in.
Yeah. So Buendia was good at making a bend run to take players away. And then what Watkins would do, he'd run in that half space, run diagonal, and he'd get spaces on. So I always look at what can Tottenham do? Who can do that type of run? Who's going to run off the ball?
Probably Sonny or Richarlison.
I noticed that with Spurs, we play with like a 2-1. So Kane's at the top in between the 2 centre halves. And we have the 2 attacking midfielders in Son and Kulusevski. They kind of stay a bit more narrow, a little bit behind Kane. And so I'm thinking what we can either do is, because we've got the 2 wing backs, if Perisic pushes it high up, then I think Son's got to take a player with him, run into that kind of half space, into that left channel to create a bit of space for Kane to get, because I felt like in that Bournemouth game, Son was playing well because Perisic was out wide and he was creating a little bit of space for him to run into. And then Skip was pushing high up like an attacking midfielder, box to box. And if certain chances that Son got in is because Skip was so advanced and he was able to play that through ball. He was able to play that pass through the lines. Now, in my opinion, I think at the start of the season, I know Højbjerg was with Bentancur, and that's when you partner someone with someone good, you get the best out of that player. But Højbjerg, I'm not a Højbjerg fan by any stretch of imagination, but he has had 8 goal contributions. And at the start of the season, he had more goals and more assists than Bentancur because he was further forward. When we reversed the role, then obviously Bentancur outshined him and then he got more goals and more assists. But my point is, one of the double pivots should play like a diamond, one in front, one behind, in my opinion. And that way they help out the attacking front three. Kane can drop in sometimes and then Skip can make a run further forward, or Højbjerg can make a run further forward. And I think they should interchange. Do you know what I mean? But what happens a lot of the time is we get dominated in midfield, in my opinion. So because there's only 2 in the middle, Newcastle's 3, they're going to win a lot of the balls in the middle. Yeah. So what I would say, if you're going to play that 3-4-3 formation, I wouldn't push 2 wing backs high. I would let 1 wing back go high and 1 wing back invert a bit like we used to see with Emerson, just to help out the front 3, just to thicken it up.
Yeah.
Or what you do is in your back 3, you have one of them slightly forward thinking and 2 of them sitting behind them. So I'd either pick Romero, because Romero naturally likes to press forwards.
Yeah.
He normally likes to be front footed. So I'll make him push into that mid.
Nope. Getting a call again.
He's saying basically what he's saying is he'd make Romero maybe push. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Romero push high and into the double pivot. So he helps out thicken up the midfield as well. Yeah. And then it allows nightmare. I keep getting phone calls, sorry. But yeah, it allows Højbjerg to push further wider into the half space, and then he can find passes into Kane or into our front 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Romero actually has a decent pass on him. I've seen him break the lines with passes plenty of times. You know, I would agree with that. The only hesitancy I would have of asking Romero to do that job is that if the ball goes beyond him, they're getting a shot on our goal regardless. I would maybe switch it up, and I'd ask Dyer instead of. I like what you said about, you know, having one of them, you know, press up a bit like what Eric Dyer done against Man City that time, right? Because for me, he's the most suspect defensively. So I would it'd make more sense for me to maybe push him up a bit further.
You don't. Dyer is the last defender.
I don't mind as long as it's one. Yeah, I don't mind if they interchange because I'm all about fluidity.
But then, if you do that, though, Ash, would you not be relying on one of your wing back or 2 of your wing backs to sort of?
That's why I said one goes. I don't want 2 high up. I want 1 to go, 1 to be disciplined because that's where we get caught. When the ball goes over the top, we got caught with our trousers down. So one of them needs to sit back and create the back 3 or back 4 just to help us defensively. Or that's what we done on the Hotspur, right? Where sort of one of the wing backs went, or one of the full backs went, and the other one sort of tucked in on the other side. That's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. Because we keep getting caught out when but for me, if they're going to come onto us, so I know Lloris isn't good with his feet, and he makes mistakes, and he spends too long on the ball when he's passing out from the back. That's what puts our defenders under pressure. Yeah. But I was looking at FB Ref and I was looking at his tactics a bit closer, his stats were a bit closer, and his actual balls into players, his actual delivery isn't that bad. He's in like the top 5 of goalkeepers, and actually that, you know, like if you're there, like maybe far wide and he's trying to get it out to Perisic, he can actually clip a ball into Perisic. So I think
talking about Hugo? Or
talk about Hugo Lloris.
I actually, just to maybe counter it or provide some context, I did hear though from The Athletic that Spurs have taken more short kicks or have taken some of the most short kicks of any club this season. So perhaps the reason though that his passing is a bit better is because he's taken fewer than most other goalkeepers like across the Premier League. Like you actually see Hugo majority of the time resort to like a short pass than he does actually a long pass when you think about it.
There was three passing metrics. It was short, medium, and long. So I looked at the short, medium, and long on the FBref, and he was in the top like 5 percentile, if that makes sense, in terms of like delivering those type of balls. But I don't know if it's tactically he's asked to do playing at the back. That's what the manager's saying. Look, you need to play this way because we want our 2 centre backs to split.
He is definitely being asked to play.
So basically, my thing is rather than playing those short passes, and because we know Newcastle are going to come onto us, why not try to maybe go a little bit longer? But obviously, you're not just hoofing a long ball into space. You're trying to get it into one of the wing backs that are pushed higher up just to press. Or you're trying to get it into, like, I don't know if Kane drops off or someone who can like look after the ball. So that's just one of my options. I'm thinking maybe that's something we can do.
On that quickly, Ash, look, I agree that maybe, you know, there is we do maybe need to pinpoint where we want Hugo to maybe start putting that ball, because there are times this season where he has gone long into the forward line. And, Arsenal, the North London derby, prime example, went in there, they turned over the ball, went straight up and put one in the back of our net. So for me, it's like, if Hugo Lloris is going long, put it out to one of the sides of the pitch.
That's what I mean. Thank you.
Get out to
Correct. We're on the same page.
Yeah, get out to Perisic's side. So if one wins the header, the other one's there for the knockdown. At times we've gone long to pain, it breaks down, and you're looking, okay, who's pushing up looking for the second ball to get the breaking ball? And there's no one within 3 miles of the guy, And I agree with you. It's like, if you are instructing, because no point in keep persisting with this short play out from the back. It's absolutely killing us. Hugo Lloris can't do it. But also, I don't believe he's good at kicking either. But what you can do is, like you said, put it out to one of the wings and get everyone to sort of shift over that way and look to pick up the breaking ball.
Yeah, and I think a big miss as well for me, when we used to play it out from the back and it used to go towards our right-hand side, Bentancur was really good at recycling the ball, and we used to do that kind of bounce ball, that one-touch football transition, and it was really quick, and we could progress up the pitch very nicely, and we could come out of that press. So we didn't look too shabby from playing at the back. It was working. But when you've got someone that has less confident on the ball, like your Højbjerg. Højbjerg will want to pass. He will do this. He'll start pointing.
I'd argue
go across. Don't give it to me. But really, that ball should be going into him. He should be laying it off first time and then running up the pitch to create those angles to make a small triangle. And that's how we can beat the press when we move up the ball. There's no one in that midfield that allows us to kind of move up that pitch through like passing channels, through short passes, making angles, diagonal runs. All the time they want to get the ball, and we just want to go long sometimes. And that's when we lose a pass. And because there's only 2 in the midfield, sometimes it lets us down. That's why I say, like, one of the wing backs invert, and that helps us to make another passing lane, because we're getting dominated 3 versus 2 all the time. I've seen it even against Sheffield or lesser teams. 3 versus 2, we're just getting outnumbered, or 4 versus 2. It doesn't make any sense to me, and that's why you're seeing Kane drop back, because the front 3 aren't getting any service at all. But then at the same time as well, when I look at the wing backs, because the wing backs are so high, both of them are so high, Kulu or Son, they haven't got any space to go wide. They have to stay in that channel, and sometimes they're too deep. They're not making those runs. The movement off the ball is quite lackluster. And then as a midfielder, you're like, who can I pass to? Because no one's making that run. Do you know what I'm trying to say? If you're a midfielder, you need movement. Otherwise, you're not going to give it to a person because you think, oh, that person's on me, innit? I can't give it to you. So for me, it's about movement. It's about adding, reversing the roles, being a bit more fluid. And one of these players dropping off, making runs, making angles, making curved runs as well, making those little bend runs like that you normally see.
And that's one of our biggest problems in possession, right? And me and Jack agree with this, because we spoke about this a number of times. When the ball does say get into the wing backs or into the forward areas, there's no one getting up, supporting them for them to lay it off and spinning behind. There's no one, creating angles to receive the ball. Everyone's sort of hiding, and they're sort of leaving the guy on the ball sort of, exposed, and it's not good enough. You've seen it at times against Bournemouth with Højbjerg and Skip on the ball. Look, I don't believe they're the best passers in the team. And, Højbjerg has shown he can do it at times this season. I would argue that Skip hasn't. But, I do feel sorry for them at times as well, because, where do you want them to go back? The only option they have at times is back to the centre-backs. Sometimes one of the wing-backs needs to drop in, create that space. Either a Kane or a Son or a Kulu rotate it. One of you drop in, look to receive the ball. But
it's very static. It's very static from the forwards at times.
For me, they've got Dan Burn as a left back, right? Or full back, whatever you want to call him, right? He's on the left of the defense, right? And he's playing, like, you've got Trippier, who's a natural right back or wing back, whatever you want to call it. But Dan Burn's a bit slower. I would go at him. I'll put a Dan Juma on him. I say Dan Juma's got the pace. He's direct. Just attack him. He's going to be nervous. He's going to make him buckle. I think they were missing Longstaff against Aston Villa. They didn't have any defensive cover. And Bruno Ramirez, they like to push him up a little bit higher rather than dropping him in deep in that hole. But for me personally, I would definitely have someone with a bit of pace, even if Son went over to the right and then we put someone else on the left, just to switch it up a little bit.
I think we should have pace on either sides, to be honest, because I think if you have Dan Burn shouldn't come up against Kulusevski, because Kulusevski Kulusevski's strength is his strength, right?
Exactly.
Is the fact that he usually bodies most fullbacks that are a bit small and like a bit kind of, on the weaker side. But Dan Burn's the opposite of that. And Kulusevski has shown he's probably one of the, sadly enough, he's filthy with everything else, but he does not have pace. He's not blessed with that sort of thing. And I think you need that against Dan Burn. You need somebody that can take him on in the one-on-one, but somebody who can actually threaten him behind. And Kulusevski does have no threat in behind, and I think teams are figuring that out now too.
Just quickly on the fullbacks, you're spot on with that, Jack, as well, with Kulu, with the sort of pacing behind. What Kulu's really good at is actually ball to feet and letting him run with it, and he can use his strength. But, we go back to Hugo Lloris's kickouts just quickly. At Tottenham, Trippier was exposed towards the end of his Tottenham career with long balls in behind. One of the where did Liverpool get their penalty from? Long ball in over Trippier's head, and they ended up winning the handball. But that long ball over Trippier's head was repeated that season by teams where he couldn't deal with that. So if we are playing these long balls, I don't want to see any directed towards Dan Burn's side of the pitch, because he's just going to mop that up. That's his bread and butter.
True.
Target in behind Kieran Trippier. That's his weakness. Balls in behind him. And that's the side I think we should get at.
Ironically, we've Porro. He's got the same type of features, don't you? Same type of like hype kind of build of him as well. So that's another weakness we need to be careful of, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But definitely when it comes to the forward line, I definitely think that I would let the wing backs invert sometimes and let the wing forwards come out wide just to switch things up.
Emerson was doing that for a while, right? Emerson was playing on the inside at times.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing about Danjuma, what I like as well, when I did see him a couple times, sometimes when he was out wide, he was able to get to the byline and then dribble across the byline and then cut back. A lot of the times, I think they're being told to do this, a lot of the wing backs. They are being told just to cross the ball into the box, and we're not getting a variation of cutbacks or passing into the box or low crosses. It's always flighted cross. It's either a hang-up cross or Porro's kind of more, he whips it a bit more. So you've got two different styles of crosses. But I would like them to get a bit closer to the byline, draw defenders, pass it, do you know what I mean? And then that could create an angle for Son, or vice versa. I wouldn't mind Son taking it to the byline, do you know what I mean? And cutting back and then maybe shooting, a bit like what Kulu used to do, do you know what I mean? Kulu used to be known for that, coming to the byline, chopping, and then decision making was so good, he'd either pass it or shoot it and test the keeper. And at the back of the end last season, that's how he got all of his joy, in my opinion.
We actually need to have a chat on the pre-match build-up if you're there this Sunday on We Are Tom TV about Kulu, a big chat about him. But look, I do, just before we let you plug Southview Coys, I do want you to answer Jamie D's question here where he says, Ashmatic, why do you think they get pushed back? Is it because we need an Ericsson or a Bentancur or a Madison? And what he means by is like, in possession, we need someone that we can give that ball to sort of relieve the pressure, maybe beat the press, something like that.
I think the reason why, like I said before, it's so hard that you see the midfield too, their job is to defend and attack, get up and down. And when your defense is so poor, you're very scared to go into attack because you're just nervous. We're going to lose the ball. Yeah, we're going to lose the ball again. I can't. And remember, the wing backs aren't protecting you because they're not very good defensively. So certain times you're getting sucked because you're going out to the right-hand side to cut out a fire. Certain times you're going to your left to cut out the fire on the left-hand side. And what that's doing is creating a big gap in the middle of the pitch where you're meant to be sitting and you're meant to be keeping your shape. We're losing our shape in the 5-4-1 because we're trying to put out fires everywhere. We don't know where to be. And then it looks bad on the midfielders, even though they're doing a hell of a lot of running because they need to obviously give balls into Kane. That's why you're seeing Kane drop off a lot because he's not getting any balls anymore because Skip and Højbjerg are so busy protecting the defense. But also, like I said before, Højbjerg, when he does drop deep, he doesn't want that short pass. One thing I liked about Sarr and Basuma, they do like little small short passes and that builds confidence in the team. So like, here you go, one touch. It builds, those short little passes build confidence in the team and it allows you to move up the pitch and gives another option. Højbjerg will point and say he wants the defenders to pass across the line, if that makes sense, pass across the pitch. So it goes into the centre back, goes into the other centre back, and then into the wing back, or sometimes into the centre back and then into midfield. But basically, it slows it down and allows teams to set themselves. And we can't hit teams properly. Sometimes the ball will come into Skip, and Skip will misplace the pass because he's trying to do it too quick.
Yeah.
We lose the ball in that area, and then we're under pressure again. So it's a few things. It's not just one thing. It's a couple things where we're losing the ball, and like managers always say it. We don't tell them to. Like Mourinho said it. I don't tell them to drop. They just drop by themselves. Conte said it. I don't tell them to drop. They just drop by themselves. And it's because some of the midfielders, they're not paired with technical midfielders, players that like it in tight spaces. Like when you get pressed, you can handle it. You're not getting done on your first touch. You've got that vision as well. You look around, who's with you. Your first touch is making you stand forward. You're on a half turn. Your first touch beats a player and it opens up the pitch. You can either go left or right, and then players are running off you. That's not happening at Spurs because we don't have that technical player at the moment. We've got players that are very, very similar. Very similar. And that's the reason why we're losing so much games at the moment, in my opinion.
The reason why we sit back so much, and I've highlighted this time and time again, it's like, look, the tactics is you're only supposed to implement the defensive side of the game when you don't have the ball. But when we give away the ball as much as we do, and then even when we do win it back and we're trying to play out, because we're trying to play out from so deep, we end up playing into trouble in the middle of our own half. And that ultimately, anyone that's played any Sunday League, anyone that's playing any Astro, you keep giving away the ball and you keep losing in positions like that. You naturally sit deeper and deeper and deeper, even when you're not told to be do. It's just natural. And I agree with your point. I agree with your point about Højbjerg and Skip, afraid to get forward, afraid to break the lines. Because even when we do sit in that shape, you watch, even when the ball's put into the middle, very hesitant to get out and put pressure on it because they know if that's popped by, it's a shot on our goal. So that's why I fully agree with that, Ash. Absolutely brilliant. Can't wait to have a conversation with you on Sunday on the pre-match show, my man. But look, you're on Southview Clays a lot. What's going on over there?
Yeah, no, we're just doing shows like post-match analysis, etc. Any gossip that comes out, we're trying to put shows together. We're 20 people away from 400. So
wow.
Yeah, guys, jump on it, man. If you disagree with my opinion, I'm happy to hear it. Like I've got some controversial opinions as well that I'm gonna bring out soon. I haven't mentioned it on this channel. I've kept it pretty much pragmatic for the channel. I've got a few ideas, and my co-hosts, they disagree with me all the time as well. So we're always up for the debate. We're always up for the debate, man. But make sure you get your voice heard, guys. Like I said, everyone's voice matters. All voices matter. So just make sure, there's no right or wrong in my opinion. We're here to learn off each other. And that's it, man. That's what I want to say, man. Big up to you guys, for community as well. Once again, brilliant job. A lot to learn from you guys, from your hosting skills, etc., man. But
appreciate it. Wow, well. Very nice. Very nice.
I appreciate that, Ash. But I think that's a very important point that Ash said and cannot be missed. Everyone has a voice. Times like this, it needs to be heard. So, whether it's this channel, even if it's not, and it's other channels you feel more comfortable again, I have your say, get out there and do it. Everyone's voices need to be heard in times like this. Ash, very important point, my man. Big yourself.
Yeah, man. Big up you, man.
I speak to you Sunday, man.
Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, link up. Big up, Jack.
Have a good weekend,
bro. Love.
See ya.
Sunday, Ash. Enjoy your few days, my man. Bye-bye.
You too, man. Bye.
Bye-bye. Great call from Ash.
Tactician.
Love talking tactics with Ash. Absolutely love talking tactics with him. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Since he's come out of the woodwork, he's a real breath of fresh air to the community. Different points of views, different things he wants to talk about. So credit to him.
Yeah, great call.
Take this question from Ian. He says, just actually, let me know if I'm pronouncing that right, my man. I don't like butchering people's names, but let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. He says, if winning trophies meant becoming a club like Chelsea, except kind of rootless, no humanity, Lord, would you guys take it?
I think there's a variety of ways. I'll answer that at first. I think what popped in my head is that I think there are a variety of different ways to win trophies and be successful. You look at clubs like Sevilla, who have been able to basically rise from kind of the tiers of second division football, like in Spain, just through like really good recruitment and just the really good sort of savvy kind of business and just a good sort of ethos and direction at the club. They have won, countless Europa Leagues and have been able to push in big tournament competitions. You look at other clubs, like I think, as well as, across maybe basically Europe, you can see different examples of clubs who basically punch well above their weight and are able to sort of, navigate, all the big spending clubs and are able to somehow stay relevant or somehow able to still kind of, stay in the top tiers of football. Even look at Portugal right now. I mean, they're basically making the likes of Premier League pay, hundreds and hundreds of millions every season. And they're still, doing quite well in the likes of Europe and whatnot. So I think it's just basically competencies of what it comes down to, UYL. I don't think we need to win Champions Leagues. I don't think Spurs have ever been the club to win Champions Leagues back to back to back like a Real Madrid would or something like that. But certainly we could take some pages out of other clubs' books who have been punching above their weight. And I think that's where Spurs have always kind of been. And I think we've lost sight of that, actually. That's where Spurs kind of used to be. They used to be everybody's second favorite club, right? Used to be kind of the term. And the reason why they were everybody's second favorite club is because they played an exciting brand of football. And they also probably did some things that maybe they wish their own club probably did at theirs, right? And so we've clearly lost sight of that, UYL. So at least that's what I would say, is that it's not, you don't need to be a Chelsea to win tons of trophies. I don't believe in that.
The name is actually Ellie, and I've misgendered them. They're actually a woman. So I really do apologize on that, man. I really do apologize. But you know what? Look, for me on that, look, elite level sport has always been ruthless. It's always had that culture. When you're in an environment where everyone wants that little edge to win, it becomes ruthless. That's natural, right? And I can accept that. And to be honest, in a way, I don't mind it. But look, I think you can always win and show humanity, show humility within that. I do believe, there is a world where that can exist. I don't believe you have to be ruthless and show no humanity or no compassion sort of whatsoever. And I think, look, there's obviously a fine line between being ruthless and showing no humanity as well. There's obviously a fine line on that. But for me, I think there is a world where you can be ruthless and win in the right way and be the example and set the example. In my opinion, that's where I'm at with that. But let me know what's your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Ellie, I think, is the name. So let me know. And once again, I do apologize. But big yourself up. Good
Great
question.
comment.
Very good question.
Appreciate the support as well. Thank you. Big up Jacob as well.
Couple of super chats I actually missed. Maybe pick 3 fans in the crowd to play in the back. Yeah, Moondog. I mean, it seems that way, my man. I mean, look, I'm always available. I've got some boots ready to go. I've got full Spurs kit ready to go. So, pick me. I'd happily do it. I'd represent with a bit of pride, my man. And then we've got Moondog says, Ryan, you have cheered me up, mate. Ryan, yeah, look, Ryan's one of them guys, he's one of them guys. He plenty of energy, good laugh as well. Ryan is a good guy like that, man. Beat yourself up, Moondog. And Adrian Chia says, sticking my neck out and say that. So I've already got that one. I already done that one.
Cool. Big yourself up, Moondog.
Big up, Adrian. Oh, okay. So Jacob says, it's pronounced like the letter L, lol.
L. Yeah, so it's not even L, it's L.
L. Okay, we'll get there eventually. Look, I do apologize on dyslexic, so I do apologize on that, but we'll get there eventually because I know when I was young, I used to hate when people used to get my name wrong. So I do apologize. But look, let's keep moving. We're on to the last guest of the evening, and it is the one and only Tyler. He's the closer today. Tyler, you there, my man? He is.
Nice.
Let's get him on.
Hey, Tyler,
pick yourself up, my man. Do you know what? Just quickly before we get going, I have to laugh. Do you remember the night you texted me about Harry Kane, but you were very cautious about it? You were like, you know what, Dave, I understand you don't want Kane to leave, this, that, and the other, but I think we have to move on. It was hilarious, brother.
Yep.
It was good. I like the way you approached it with caution as well. You didn't get me riled up from the off. We had a good conversation.
He was tiptoeing
yeah,
around.
No, it was a very good conversation. But look, Tyler, there's so much to talk about. I mean, what's irked you? What's grabbed you by the goat? I mean, what do you want to talk about, man?
We can start with Paratici.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Paratici's resignation?
It's a shame. I think he's done a pretty good job. Obviously, I think he did a good job of bringing people in, but he didn't do a great job of getting rid of people. So, but I don't know. I see that Juventus get the points back, but he's still under Why does he still?
I think
I don't know how that works,
he
but
must have been. There's two ways to look at it, I think, Tyler. He must have been, as we know, very much one of the main culprits of this whole thing. I think they found basically a black book of all of his sort of like kind of cooked up deals and everything, and that made him kind of the
Chiellini
main.
gave them all the WhatsApp messages as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he was one of the main sort of guys involved in it. But at the same time, being the club Juventus are, do they really want to shake up kind of the status quo of Italian football and, kind of make it, let's say, less of an attractive league and, give, Juventus another
No.
big sort of relegation? I mean, it's possible that Juventus, it's not like they were paid off or anything, but maybe they know the interests of like their own league, the interests of their own country and everything like that, that they
Well,
probably couldn't dethrone like, a Juventus. And so might as well just sack Paratici, because
you know what?
Paratici still is very guilty. So they're just like, give Paratici all the punishment we think he deserves. Maybe the other people we let them off because we don't want to put Juventus in too much trouble.
Do you know what, Jack? Just quickly on that, I actually think you make a great point, because the Italian league, it did take a notoriety hit and took a hit in general when they actually relegated Juventus to Serie D when they were done for match fixing. And it took the Italian league sort of ages to get that maybe bit of respect back and stuff like that. And I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. And that's why they've overturned the ban, right? They want them in the Champions League next year. It's probably their biggest club, their biggest export, the one that's well known. What I have a problem with is, yeah, look, they say Paratici devised the plan, right? And basically it was paying the players, the same money they were on, even though they came out and publicly said they'd take a hit. They didn't. They were still getting the same money, but the Paratici devised the plan. But look, Ronaldo accepted the money. Chiellini accepted the money. There's plenty of players that accept the money. Where are their bans? They've committed fraud. The likes of Nedved, who's on the board and everything else. That guy was a player when the match fixing scandal was happening. They have a long history of that, and it just. I think Jack's hit the nail on the head. I think, look, they have to pin somebody for it, right? You're not going to let them away with it. They have to pin somebody for it. But I agree with you, Tyler. I found it very strange that sort of took Juventus point deduction away and kept Paratici's ban. And I think Jack's hit the nail on the head. I think that's why.
Yeah, and it looks like that. I mean, Juventus might win the Europa League anyway, so they might be in Champions League from that.
Come on, man. Jose's already won it. Jose's already won it. He's already won it. He's already played the mind games. He's even defeated. Did you watch any of Feyenoord? I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on Arne Slot, but I kind of thought that was an interesting tactical battle between the two, because Slot did impress me. Like, he did take Feyenoord to the Conference League final last season, and he lost out to Jose. He was able to beat Jose at home 1-0, but then sort of slipped up in this game for his team. And it's an interesting one. I thought that Feyenoord side had some good players, though, I would take from there. I thought like Kokcu, or that Turkish guy, looked really good. There's a fullback they had, like Gerd Chirita or whatever his name is. He looked really good. He was doing like, Zidane turns and things like that in the game. It was kind of crazy. He was real free-flowing football, but it was also interesting to still see Jose, kind of like a very pragmatic coach, basically still outsmart and kind of out, class, basically, right? One of the, maybe up and coming, managers of the game. It still shows that defensive football still has its relevancy, I think, today.
I was watching, and they said that Jose and his staff has had like 12 or like 14 red cards on the season. Like, I do miss a little bit of that. I miss a little bit of that energy from Jose, but definitely don't miss the style of football.
Do you know what? Look, I get people don't like it, but I do think at Tottenham, at some point you've got to acknowledge that, there's many ways to skin a cat, right? We got to finals and stuff like that playing the Pochettino way. But there were times within them league campaigns or them finals where you did need maybe a bit more of a pragmatic approach in certain games where maybe you might have seen us actually get over the line. And I think, at Tottenham, we've got to stop dismissing. I get fans don't want to see it, right? I'm not saying, dismiss it or you've got to accept it, this, that, and the other. But, we've got to realize that, sometimes when we get to them positions, or if we ever get them there again, that sometimes for a club like us, who are not spending the money to bring in the best players in the world, can be the great equalizer. You know, look, I'd argue, I know that in hindsight, but you look at Antonio Conte, right? We haven't performed since, I would say, October. We're still sitting in fifth with a chance of fourth. Now, if we actually had defenders,
Yeah.
wow, could Conte have made a title push this season with the correct back line? You know, look how long we've been sitting around, just in and around the top four. You know, so for me, I think, look, defensive football can work, but you just got to provide the right players in that system at the end of the day. But look, let's talk about the Newcastle game this weekend, Tyler. It's you looking forward to it first and foremost?
I wouldn't say looking forward to it, but I always want to watch Spurs, you know. So I will enjoy it the day of. But one thing about Conte, real quick, if you look at the position we're in, yeah, and if players like Bentancur don't get injured, Basuma, I mean, he really got unlucky with that too. But yeah, if we had defenders plus all our midfielders were healthy, we definitely would have got top four again this season.
100%.
Not that you know, that's a big accomplishment. Top four. That's all we've been. It's not a trophy, so he still did fail, but 100%.
I just
Yeah,
think if we didn't even have that rocky period of games where Dave looked at those run of fixtures where we had pretty much mostly relegation or mid-table kind of sides that we were coming up against, and we just dropped so many points in that run. And it's not even like we needed to be that great. Like, we were just downright dreadful. Like, we were one of the worst teams in the Premier League, basically, form-wise, during that period, where all we needed was like 50%. Like, we just needed like 50% of ourselves, and we probably would have been in a much better position than we even are now. So that's where it's kind of painful. It's like, if we had just picked up 3 points against Southampton, if we had just picked up 3 points against the likes of Everton, like, and you look back at the other games that we dropped points in, it's just kind of like, you know, we would still be in a better position. So I don't know. It feels like even dreadful football still, we could have been top four easy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But do you feel like Stellini's going to make any changes, Tyler? Or is he going to be really stubborn, you know, going into this one?
Part of the problem is, like, what changes can we really make with especially now the injuries? We have more injuries to our defenders. Like, I don't know what we're going to go with. Like, I kind of want to try like a four at the back, but we don't have a left back now that can play four at the back, unless we really don't. I was thinking maybe we could do like a Tanganga as the right back and Poro as on a left back or something. I don't know, but
I'm curious what your thoughts are of this, Tyler. I've thought of maybe something like where if we were to go for a four in the back, but still keep very defensive principles to it, we could put Longley sort of as a left back. You put Romero and Dyer in the middle, and then you have Tanganga as sort of an auxiliary kind of fullback. And it's basically just 4 center backs across the back line. It's not going to be pretty. It's probably not even going to be, it probably might not even work, let's be honest. But
that's what I was thinking.
I just think that's the best way to try to get maybe a 4 in the back of some kind that maybe Stellini could realistically have confidence in, because we all want maybe there to be a bit more free flowing, but I could see him going for something like that. That's not too far away from how he sees football and how he wants things to be. That's still a pretty defensive team if you went for like 4 center backs across the back line, but you still have like a guy like Tanganga who can maybe get forward from time to time. Same thing with Longley, but you're asking then a lot more from players like Højbjerg, Skip, Sarr, Kulusevski. You can maybe try to play through the middle. But again, these are a lot of changes that are all hypothetical. But my problem is, Tyler, is I just think if he went for no changes whatsoever, it's just, it's just asking for it. Like, you're asking for a beating. You're asking for, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well.
I was thinking a 4-4-2, and then you can still put Poro as the right mid. You could do either Perisic or Danjuma as the left mid.
That's
Son and Kane up top, maybe. And in the midfield, Sarr and Skip or whatever. But I was thinking we could do something like that. But is Longley is he out?
I haven't had a chance to read to see the press conference because it was delayed because the lights went out. Imagine that. I mean, even more Spursy. But look, I would say, just looking at the injury, no one around him. Yeah, I would say he's probably going to miss out this week.
Yeah, so then we can't do that because who else can play the left back? I'm not putting Perisic as the left back.
Yeah, I said Longley. I said Longley, completely forgetting about that injury, and geez,
Yeah.
wow, that's how shit
I
of a
think you have to play
situation.
Perisic. I think you just got to. You
Yeah.
know, you look. You know, you can ask Perisic to do something different. You can ask him maybe not to get as far forward, or stuff like that. But look, let's wait. I agree. I think. Look, maybe asking Porro and Perisic to play full backs. Look, maybe it could come back to haunt us, but
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
of the
St.
opinion,
Maximin.
you can't keep playing this tree across the back line. It's just not working, It's like, I fear if we go in playing that system into these next 3 games, we're going to get done. They've all set up for this system. They all know our weakness in this system. Switch it to a back 4, and let's see if we can maybe pull something out of these next 3 games, Newcastle, United, and Liverpool, and maybe surprise them a little, Would you bring in a Danjuma, though, for maybe a Kulusevski this weekend? Because, look, Kulu's been off the boil a bit, The end product just isn't there lately.
Yeah, my problem is I want Danjuma on the left, but I don't want to drop Son right now.
Could you play
Earlier
Sonny
in the season, I did. Son on the right.
Yeah, could you move Sonny off to the right and get Danjuma in on the left?
Yeah, he got moved to the right sort of recently, and he didn't look too bad, didn't he, right? Yeah, so maybe I would do that. If I'm going to drop any of the attackers right now, it's Kulu.
I think it was actually Southampton game where he was moved to the right, if I remember correctly. And look, maybe bringing in a Danjuma on the left and getting him, who has a lot more energy, right, has a lot more willingness to do the hard yards. Maybe he actually might help Perisic down that left-hand side. Because as much as people would argue Perisic or the left-hand side has hindered Sonny going forward, I'd also make the same argument that Son has hindered us defensively down that left-hand side because he doesn't want to put in the hard yards. He doesn't want to close down. He doesn't want to get stuck in. But, basically that left side is just not working. But maybe a bit of fresh legs might help us out defensively down that side.
Yeah, but then you have Son on the right and Porro on the right. And then that's St. Maximin coming down that
He's
side.
out, actually, I believe.
Oh,
St.
is he?
Maximin's out, I believe. I read Eddie Howe's. Well, according to Eddie Howe's press conference, he's out. Let's wait and see. It might be one of them. He's out, and then he appears,
Well, if that's the case, then maybe we could do that. But if St. Maximin's playing and he's going up against Porro and Son on that side, that's a nightmare.
Get the popcorn out. It'd be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Look, you know what? You make of the reports linking us to someone like Cameron today. He's sort of been off the table the last while. It's all been Nagelsmann, Poch, Arnie Snot. I'm going to call him Snot. But Amarim is a name that seems to be put back on the table today. Do you like this guy?
I'm going to be honest, I don't really know too much about him. So I can't give my opinion on that. I still would really like Luis Enrique. Because I think with him, we'd have to bring in players that can pass from the back and pass around, and it would force him to get rid of players like Dyer and Sanchez even more. So I would really like Enrique, or I kind of like the prospect of Company, but he isn't proven. I just love his attitude. I mean, if you've seen the dressing room talks with Burnley and how he was like with Man City, he was a winner, and he has the winning attitude. And I think he would definitely take charge of the locker room and definitely yell at these players not giving it their all and not improving and just collecting their contracts and not caring about the club and winning. I think he would be a great guy to come in, and a guy like him, you have to give him time too. But I don't think us Spurs fans would. We would get way too impatient, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Look. One thing I might say is hopefully maybe what's happened the last few years, something maybe the fan base maybe woken up a bit and realised that look, it's not an instant fix. It's not instant overnight. We do have to give the manager a bit of time. Hopefully that has maybe been something that's come out of maybe the last 3-4 years of constantly changing direction. But Tyler, is there anything else you want to discuss that maybe we haven't talked about today?
I don't know. I mean, I guess there's not too much going on right now. It's kind of just like figuring out what's going to happen for next season, and if we're going to look dreadful again against Newcastle. There's not too much going on other than Paratici resigning and not knowing who our manager is going to be and all that, and seeing if Kane's going to, sign a new contract or next season will be his last and he'll go on a free. We just don't. There's not too much going on right now.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Well, maybe then. Let me think of a last question then for you then, Tyler. Pochettino, I guess, has been, the new leader for the Chelsea job. Do you see Pochettino betraying us? Or is it even a betrayal at all, since he really only mentioned Arsenal, I think, like someone mentioned?
I mean, it would definitely hurt. I think, it's sort of a betrayal. And I think, knowing our luck with all these Chelsea managers that we've had and have failed, he would probably go to Chelsea and probably win everything. Knowing our luck. I mean, he is good. He is really good with young players, and they got a shit ton of them. So
that's what worries me, Tyler.
It would definitely hurt to see him go there and succeed. They're one of our biggest rivals other than Arsenal. So it would definitely hurt, and it would be a bit of a betrayal. Yeah. But at the same time, I can't blame him. That's a big job, and you want the money, and so many young prospects to work with. It is an exciting job, but I don't know. At the same time, there's a lot of pressure. But I definitely would be pissed if he went there.
Yeah, I think you're sort of describing the emotions of all Spurs fans if that happened, my man. And there'd be even more outrage, especially when you see how much the fans are committed to wanting them back, singing them every chance they get. So it'd be a kick in the stones if he went there, Tyler. But look, Tyler, my man, great chat with your brother. Great chat, and look, hopefully we can get the win this weekend. But against all odds, huh?
Yeah, maybe get some of the youngsters on the bench if the first team is playing like shit. Just throw them out there, see if their hustle can get us a point or a win. You never know.
Mikey Moore, get Mikey Moore in there.
Donnelly, there's a few there.
We got a trophy. Might be U17, but we got a trophy.
And you know what? Yeah. We've got the under-18s as well on the 4th, I think, of next month as well. So hopefully they can replicate that as well and get another trophy in the bag.
Yeah, maybe we do have an exciting future with all these youngsters. I mean, if they're winning trophies early on, you never know. Could bring the winning ways to the first team, hopefully.
I think that's the only hope we have right now, Tyler. Anyway, my man, it's definitely the only hope we've got now, my man. Well, listen, big yourself up, and it was great to chat to you. And thanks for giving up your time this afternoon to come in and have a chat with us, my man.
Yeah, great chatting with you guys. Have a good one.
Good, man. Have a good weekend, Tyler.
Enjoy your Friday and your Saturday. See you, sir.
See you, brother. Enjoy the sunny Florida.
He doesn't have the palm trees in the background this weekend. But everybody give Tyler a lot of love. A really, really nice guy. But look, let's keep this moving. We've actually got two that snuck in the back.
2 extra guests all of a sudden. So let's get them in here.
And they are the last 2. Anyone else that's planning on sneaking in, I do not have time to take you. These will be the last 2 guests. Let's get them on. Let's start with KPV.
Hello,
keeping, my man?
Hello,
boys. I'm keeping good. Just been shopping.
Oh, nice. Did you get into nice?
Yeah, I've got pizza for dinner and
what's on it?
Think it's
make me hungry. Go on, tease me. What's on it?
Gonna have Aaron Ramsdale on pizza so I can eat it for dinner. Can eat Aaron Ramsdale. Can eat Aaron Ramsdale. Big up Cam.
I can't lie. I love a good chicken barbecue pizza. It's making my mouth water right now. I'm about to start drooling. But look, KPV, a lot to talk about. Newcastle game coming at the weekend. Paratici has in his resignation. Tottenham apparently looking for an overhaul this summer. I've heard that plenty of times coming towards the end of the season. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about, my man?
Well, the Don Paratici. Well, Paratici's resigned. So his appeal against his ban has been rejected. So people saying he's done a good job. He did do a good job by bringing in Kulu and Bentancur for us to get top 4 towards the end of last season, which that's what us as fans wanted to get back in a big competition, and so yeah, he done a good job bringing them in. Like, yeah, he done.
What was the best Paratici signing and the worst Paratici signing? Do you think, KPV?
The best, best signing under Paratici and worst signing under Paratici. So
yeah,
I'll start with the best one. 2, Kulu Bentancur, and worst signing. It's gonna have to be Perisic. Like, it hasn't worked out well for him. Yeah, he's
even worse than someone like a Basuma or a Richarlison who haven't been able to stay fit.
Yeah,
interesting. At least Perisic has contributed, in my opinion.
Worst signing, like, I'll probably say with Richarlison. Yeah, he hasn't been able to stay fit because he still went to the World Cup and scored 2 stunning goals. But it's a shame he didn't win a Puskas Award, because that would have been 3 years in a row, 3 Spurs players winning it.
Yeah.
Son and Lamella would have won it, and it's a shame that Richarlison didn't win it for them 2 stunning goals at the World Cup, that he didn't win it, but someone else has. Like, another robbery of Tottenham, another robbery. So
I think the other reason, as much as I'm a big Richie backer, I think part of the reason why the Richarlison signing has definitely, at least thus far, has really failed and unimpressed thus far, is mostly because you see how Sonny has struggled. You then would think a guy like Richarlison would have pounced on that opportunity, seeing someone like Sonny struggling, but he hasn't, either through mostly injury. I think it's really just been injury, the major reason. But at the end of the day, he just hasn't taken that chance to basically win the fans over by getting maybe a lot of the goals that Sonny normally would have gotten. And he just didn't take those chances. And I think that's where ultimately is a failed signing, because if you're going to spend 60 million on a guy, he should be threatening that front three a lot more than, I think he has threatened the front three. Like, when he's healthy, he is threatening it, but he's just never healthy. And then the fact that he's never healthy, you spent 60 million on a guy who then isn't able to contribute the goals in case someone else isn't really up to standard or is a bit out of form. That's what Richarlison, I guess, was brought in to do, was sort of to help, help out, I guess, Kane and Sonny when it came to the goals and things like that. And he just hasn't at all. He's failed.
I agree. Look, for me, I think he's got to be the biggest flop. You look at the outlay, hasn't been fit when we have had a chance to rest Kane. And look, the only thing we've sort of praised him for this season has been, he's chasing down, or he's running sort of off the ball to try and win it back.
Fault his attitude is really
it hasn't really been for anything he's done on the ball. I would say the best game where he's been on the ball has actually been that Nottingham Forest game that you were at, Jack. Apart from that, I think he's been pretty poor. Even last weekend, a chance to grab the winner, he misses it, and then they go down and score the winner. And it's kind of like, things like that. I think he's got to realize, it's a big step up from Everton. And then moments are the ones that matter. They matter at a club like Tottenham, taking that chance in the last minute and stuff like that. And I think he's maybe got to get in that psyche. And look, I feel sorry for the chap, because it's not for the want of trying, right? He's had 2 league goals disallowed over the last few weeks. You see how much it actually upsets him, which I actually find refreshing, to see how much it actually upsets him when things maybe hasn't worked out, or when he picked up that injury that time coming off. And that's why I do overall, I think it will actually work out in the long run for the guy, because you can see that he wants it to work out. But this season, it just hasn't. Like someone like a Perisic, we got him for a free. He's got some of our most assists this season. I find it hard to put him down as our worst signing. I would rather put someone, I would put a Basuma or a Richarlison in there. But KPV, do you think Paratici's time will always be sort of tainted by not bringing in that back line, or by the hiring of Nuno? Because it's a lot of things that fans maybe aim at him. Do you think his time will always be tainted by them decisions?
Yeah, I think his time will be, like you said, by not bringing in the new back line. The one we've got is not good. Maybe it'll be that one. And yeah, like hiring Nuno was a big mistake. Like, yeah, we were waiting 71 days to get a manager, and he gets appointed, and he said he was going to make us proud. Well, he didn't. We only won 5 games and lost 5, and we lost 4 London derbies. And like we lost 3-0 at Palace to start off, and then lose 3-0 to Chelsea. Then you lose we lose 3-1 to Arsenal, and West Ham only lost by 1. And we only scored 1 goal, 1 London derby. That was the away game at Arsenal. We only scored 1, and we conceded many goals. But we lost to Man United at the end of October, and that was like the battle of the El Sacico. Like, if we won that, Solskjaer would have been sacked, and they would have got Conte. But now we won the El Sacico by getting rid of Nuno and bringing in Conte, who has not lost at home to United. Basically, we lost at home to them for a second time in 2021. They beat us 3-1 in April, and then they beat us 3-0 in October a few months later. So we just can't win at home against them. Like, we have to beat them at home on Thursday because Rashford is back and he's now back. But we have to beat them on Thursday at home because they've beaten us 2 times at the new stadium, and this has to be the time. We just beat Chelsea at the new stadium for the first time, and beat West Ham. So space of 2 weeks, we've beaten both London teams, and both with 2-0 scorelines. And I think, Son scored against West Ham, and Kane scored against Chelsea. So Kane didn't score in both, only scored 1, and Son scored in 1. So we have only won, I think, a few London derbies, and so
look, that was even a problem last season, Kyle. I remember bringing up stats where I think we had won one London derby last season, or on the road, or something like that. It's a huge problem. But look, you're an encyclopedia of knowledge. This season for me has been one of the worst I can remember in quite some time. Where does it stack up for you?
I think this.
I'm talking about a Tottenham perspective, not the Premier League overall. From a Tottenham perspective.
Okay. This Tottenham team, I think it stacks up with the 2008-09 season, where the previous season we just won a Carling Cup, and then we were fighting for relegation then, but we got rid of Wande Ramos, and then Redknapp comes from Portsmouth and saves us.
Yeah, incredible job.
The 98-99 season we were fighting relegation, and we won a trophy as well. We had.
Is that the season where Jurgen came back to save us with these goals?
For a 98-99 season, yeah.
If I remember correctly, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, we've been fighting relegation a couple of seasons, and this season has to be the worst. But Kane's had the best season though, scoring Premier League goals and banging them in, but hasn't scored every though, because he didn't score against Southampton at home because Son didn't, so they 2 didn't score. But he's been scoring goals, but I think he can score at least a few, because Haaland's got 32 now. He's level with Mo Salah, who scored more Premier League goals in a season, but Haaland's breaking it. So Kane, I think, will finish second in the Golden Boot race, but him and Son will win it next season, people. You heard it here first. They will. But yeah, I think this Tottenham team is up there with 98-99 and 2008-09 season team when we were fighting relegation. Look at Chelsea now. They've got Newcastle. They could get relegated, Chelsea. They won trophies more than us, and they could get relegated. They could. I bet you Spurs fans would love it. Then we don't have to play them again next season. That'd
be unbelievable if that happened, man. Honestly, you wouldn't be able to write that if that happened. They're only 7 points above, right? I think, if I'm correct. I'll check now.
But speaking of Chelsea, is Pochettino going to betray us, KPV?
Oh my God, he's going to do a Judas. I hope not. I hope he doesn't. I hope not. He's still.
You better give his head a wobble, KPV, if he's ever considering it.
He can tell them to do one, because he said he'd rather work on a farm than manage Arsenal, and he probably can say the same about he would rather work on a farm than manage Chelsea. He can tell them to do one.
Especially after the battle at the bridge and everything like that, you would think maybe he wouldn't have the best of feelings towards Chelsea. You think maybe he probably sees that as, I don't know, he battled with Chelsea a lot, and he didn't exactly have great meetups with them.
Oh, look who's in the chat.
No, I think that's a fake account, my man. My bad. I think that's a fake account. And my bad as well. Correct. Chelsea are 11 points above relegation, not 7. So.
Oh, they're 11 points above relegation, but they're not doing great. Lampard hasn't gotten a win for them on his return, and they couldn't score a goal against Real Madrid. And I hear that Chelsea want Poch, and now Company's on the list. Like, hopefully, Poch ain't gonna do an SD and just betray us, because he's not. I hope he don't. Like, because then we're screwed. Like, who we want? No one's gonna come in. And like, well,
let's say KPV. Maybe one of the last questions here then for you. Let's say Pochettino's a no and Nagelsmann is a no for Spurs. Who's your choice? There's Amorim, Postecoglou, Arne Slot.
If Pochettino's a no, then I'd go Company. Like,
okay,
he said he would listen to an offer if an offer was made, and like, if Pochettino doesn't come back, which Daniel Levy needs to pick up the phone and bring him back, then if Poch doesn't come back, which I hope he does, but if he doesn't, then just give me Company, man. Vincent Company. He just got Burnley promoted, done a brilliant job, and Daniel Levy's been impressed with him, the work he's done there. And like, just give me the guy who we knocked out of the Champions League a couple of seasons ago. Give me Vincent Company, man. Give us him, because he would do a great job.
I think he's the best chance at getting rid of Eric Dyer, because he's actually played against that fool, so he probably knows to be able to get rid of him.
And Dyer scored past Man City when the Battle of the Bridge, we were challenging for the league, and we slapped City 4-1. He actually scored, Dyer, so that he scored. And so,
Dyer had a really bad own goal against Newcastle last season, KPV. That can't happen again now, can it?
No, that was away. When big up to Reggie and Dyer for telling the Newcastle therapist to go to the fan and
that's
stop
right.
the game.
Yeah,
so,
him and Sergio Region.
Yeah, big up to those two. But this season we lost at home, which I think it must have been how was that not a foul on Lloris? But VR said it was a
come on.
together.
I think KPV. I think Hugo definitely was trying to get away with one. I think Hugo made a big
blunder
blunder there.
Although what I will say is, I have seen fouls like that being given since.
Fair point.
You know, I agree. I agree with Jack that Hugo Lloris was being a coward and threw himself to the ground and was looking for it. However, I've seen this, and this is where I get annoyed with referees, right? It's the inconsistency of stuff. But look, Hugo Lloris needs to be stronger there anyway, regardless. You know, he's got to read the situation. But KPV, my man, who's letting the dogs out?
Yeah,
today?
big important weekend. Who's letting the dogs out this weekend?
Who's letting the dogs out? Who's letting them out?
Who you trusting?
Donovan.
Big up, Donovan.
Big up. Nice. Yeah, I'm taking the Gary Lineker route again, and I got asked if I was to make a prediction, like Newcastle to win 6-1, man. I said it, but I hope I'm wrong. We need a win. Like, our record away at Newcastle was actually good. 4 wins and 1 draw. But we're away. I know our away record is good, but Sunday it's Kane versus Trippier, captain of country against captain of club. So Kieran Trippier, sorry mate, Kane's going to score past Pope again. So good luck trying to stop him. Your England teammate, but sorry Kieran, we're going to win. So, but good luck, kid. But we're going to win. And then I still want to win on Sunday. Then bring on United and Liverpool after that. So
any ultimate team this weekend, KPV? Before I let you go, playing any ultimate team?
I got Frank Lampard from an objective. I did.
Did you quick sell it?
I can't because it's untradeable. I can't get rid of it.
You can still quick sell it. You can still quick sell it, KPV. It's easy. Just flick it. Just flick it down. Just get rid of it.
KPV must have Solus Carmel in the backline as well.
No, that's on FIFA 22, Dave. Like, this game, I'm thinking of doing a North London Derby ultimate team.
Ooh,
But
and some Gooners on your team. Interesting, KPV.
My ultimate team is just full of Tottenham players and Roy
Yeah,
Keane,
me too.
to be honest.
yeah,
Have
I
a good
thought,
weekend, though, KPV. I hope you
yeah,
have a good weekend, and I hope you enjoy yourself, and I hope we're lucky this weekend and
and
Spurs don't ruin it, my man.
hopefully Spurs don't ruin it for my friend who I saw yesterday, Katie, because she's a Spurs fan. So don't ruin it for
Shout out, Kate.
Wiley, everyone. Spurs, do not ruin it for little boy Wiley, who was at the North London derby last season, scored past Pat Jennings, great goalkeeper. So little one, hopefully they don't. Hopefully Spurs don't ruin it, because I know you're watching it. So don't ruin it, Spurs, because we have had enough. So I'm off, but I'm gonna have pizza, and then I'm watching the game later. So I'm off, people, but I'll see you all after the game. So
Big up, KPV.
Levy out. Donovan, you let the dogs out, mate. You're next. You're last. So,
nice, KPV. Good call, my friend. Great call, KPV. See ya. Have a good weekend.
Soon,
Enjoy your pizza.
Enjoy the pizza, KPV. See you soon. That's KPV, everybody. What an absolute legend. Absolute legend. Just take one or two chats here quickly and then we'll move on. I want to say a big hi to Phil. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Good to see you. Says if he gets the Chelsea job, then fair play. Spurs done a dirty on him. Fair enough. Fair. Yeah. Look, you can look at it that way. And Pat Whelan, big up, my man. He says we can't hire Slot. The media would have a field day. Slot missed the spot the slot. Lord, look, they're going to have an absolute field day with the guy's name. But also, look, I get he bought, Feyenoord to Europa Conference League. I get, he's done well with them in the Europa League as well. But, this guy has only managed AZ Alkmaar and Feyenoord.
He only started managing in 2019 or something.
Yeah, and going to the Premier League is a different ball game altogether. Taking over a big club in the Premier League is a different animal altogether. For me, I don't think this guy would be able to cope with it. I'd have my reservations and concerns over it, Pat. Big yourself up, my man. And then also, Catman Jess, I need to know how you got him. I've been speaking to Jack about this for like 2 weeks straight now. I've been trying so hard to get him. I've been saving all the coins I've been earning to try and get him and still can't get him. Let me know how you got it done, my man. Big yourself up.
Man, legend.
Yeah, legend.
All right, the real closer this time. Let's bring in the real closer this time. Donovan's going to be the closer, and he's letting the dogs out as well. Lots of responsibilities.
I've missed these shades.
You bring him in, Dave.
I've missed these
the
shades.
flash cap. How you doing, Dave? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you keeping?
Good to see you. Hey, Jack. How you doing, man?
Hey.
I've missed that shit.
Big responsibility, man. Big responsibility. They got PPV. I don't know what's on that pizza, man, but wow, thank you, man. I really appreciate it, bro.
But look, Donovan, where do you want to kick this off? What do you want to talk about, my man?
Yeah, straight up, lads. My bus comes in 7 minutes, so I'm going to take a quick little, just a positive boost and close. You should have let us know in the
private chat, my man. I would have sorted out getting you on earlier if that was the case.
Oh, no, it's all good. Honestly, I'm so sorry for just sneaking in here. That was like, I just wanted to see if I could type it in, if it worked, and it worked. And so, but yeah, no, I think we're going to beat Newcastle. I think we're going to have Kieran Trippier on toast. We're going to take advantage when they push up, and we're going to get them on the counterattack like we did against City in the Etihad last season when Kane scored that goal in the final minutes there.
Are you thinking about dropping Kulusevski for this upcoming game? Maybe throwing in a Dan Juma or Richarlison instead?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about refreshing it. I was also thinking, kept coming onto the stream today, how we need a reaction out of certain players. We need a reaction from the guys, right? We need immediate 180 headspace. So, and that'll be a telling game if it's there or not.
Who in particular?
Honestly though, I'm more concerned about Pochettino to Chelsea, to be honest. Like, I think within the 24 hours of Paratici leaving the club, there's no excuse now not to take immediate action for like any decisions. Like, we have Scott Munn, he can take over. And so now the elephant's out of the room, cat's out of the bag. Okay, let's start our business. Not posting Cambridge videos and stuff and doing whatever. Maybe if anything, that was just to save his face so he could, like, hey, this is me. Now that he's gone, I'm still here. Like, I can take control. But yeah, I just hope that Pochettino's only playing mind games, and kind of forcing Levy's hand of saying, okay, well, come get me because this is it, so.
You know what? I've actually had a few people say that. Pat Whelan in the chat there was saying as well. I've seen a few people say that maybe it is a ploy of a come and get me, sort of accelerate the process. Sort of be very, very interested to see if that is the case. Be very interested to see what Chelsea fans' reactions are as well about, Pochettino coming to take them over. Hopefully it sends them into meltdown for a little while. Look, I do fear if Pochettino goes there, he'll get them going. I do fear that. Me, when I look at both clubs, right, Tottenham have a lot of young talent coming through. A lot of Paratici's recruitment was actually 25 or under. Same as a lot of Chelsea's recruitment. They've got a lot of young talent. So it is, both clubs are sort of screaming or crying out, if you would like, for a manager of Pochettino's ilk who has a proven past of being able to do that. Look at some of the players he's brought through at Tottenham at the time. Southampton, he formed majority, if not half of that England team at one stage with the players he's brought through. So for me, I'd be ashamed to see him go there when we're sort of crying out for someone of that ilk as well.
Surely he doesn't go there with his loyalty, man. After the bridge, like you said, Jack and Dave, and also I think KPV alluded to earlier. Cop for him, by the way, KPV, that was a good call. He'd rather work on a farm or something than go to Arsenal. Yeah. That's the mentality you got to have, and we don't need another punch under the gut in our fan base right now, right? And so if you did care about the club, and if you really were. What did he say? Something about he wasn't into football, but then he had become a football fan to not lose money or something. So if you actually are a football fan, make the right decision, the obvious decision, even if it is just for the next 7 games or 6 games, whatever it is, just give the fans what they want and calm the waters, and then reassess in the summer, and you have 2 months of no competition, and you can just focus all your attention on the right areas. Because right now it seems like it's a drafting board, and it's 4 different directions everyone wants to go, and we can't have that, Do
you know what on that, where Levy keeps referencing that he's a fan? I think we missed the crucial element of what something he said in the interview, where it was like, when they asked him about becoming chairman and all, he was like, yes, I'm a fan first. But I'm a fan that has to basically, he said, I'm a fan, yes, but I don't operate like a fan. Basically, he was alluding to that, yes, he may be a fan, but he also makes sure that the money is spent wisely and stuff like that. And I'm not sure he'll ever sort of let go of that and actually sort of be a fan for a summer or for one season and sort of just
The only thing I can argue with that is that building that fan mentality, not pumping the money in the club. A, he hasn't turned us into a financial wreck, and B, he could probably argue that his plan worked because we just won the second Premier League through a development academy. Or whatever level it was, his goal was to build from the ground up. And I mean, hey, if that's what happens, that's what happens. And maybe that's our next path forward. Maybe we become a true English football club where the dream of a young lad could come into his academy, come to the first team, and then make a difference. And it took him 20 years. I mean, heck, at least you got something positive to say, right? But guys, thank you for the respect, and sorry for just butting it, but I really got to go. I'm just looking at.
Okay, well, no. I hope you enjoy your weekend, Donovan, and maybe we can have a better chat on Monday and one.
Yeah, we'll have a good one on Monday, and is the call going to be before or after the Newcastle game? Do you know?
There will be a post-match fan show for Newcastle. And then I'm not sure what time exactly that will be. I can't promise you anything, but there will be a post-match fan show. And then also Monday we'll have a fan show as well.
I'll talk to your boy Jacob from the United Spurs of America or something.
Nice.
Okay, well, you guys have a good weekend, man.
Have a good convo as well.
Have a good weekend,
Donovan. See you guys Monday.
Donovan,
see you
enjoy
Monday,
Friday,
bro.
enjoy Saturday, and see you Sunday, my man.
Catch a friend.
See you, buddy. Do you know what? I haven't spoken to that guy in quite some time, actually. It's nice to see him.
He's coming on regularly, though, and I appreciate it because it's good to have somebody who's, he's coming on with a lot of energy. And to be honest, you kind of need it because a guy like Donovan, coming from one happy clapper, I see a bit of him myself in him, Dave. He's always trying to look for some sort of, bit of light, to hold on to, some sort of way to kind of rebuild ourselves. And in fact, I'm impressed by Donovan because he's coming on basically during a very dark time, let's say, at Spurs, right? And he has a lot to say, which is
no, he does. He does. He used to come on to the old style pre-match pump ups on Tottenham TV as well. He used to love having a chat with the guy. He used to love it. It's good to see him back, and it's good to see him looking well as well. He's looking slick with the glasses, the hair, the jacket. He's off out somewhere. I know he is. But look, that brings us to the end of the fan show. 3.5 hours. Spurs fans,
Hit
Make
that
sure
like
you
button,
keep
please.
using these platforms, these channels, these fan shows to get on and have your say on all things Tottenham. I absolutely adore sitting here talking to all you guys and listening to your opinions. And if there is anyone out there that's sitting there thinking, you know what, I'd love to give my opinion, but I don't think there's any value to it. Scrap that. Don't think like that. Come on and have your say. It's important at times like this that many voices get heard. But look, I think that brings us to the end of it. Jack, anything you want to say before we end off, brother?
Really do appreciate everybody that stuck with us throughout the show. Is a good fan show, plenty of guests, and also as well, everybody. Big up Dave. He's been working very, very hard as well this week too, and he was able to kind of do the majority of the fan show today. You know, despite me having to take a big Eric Dyer break at one stage. I mean, it was just coming through me, but as well, I would say Saturday, I think we'll try to put out something. You know, maybe it could be a surprise. You never know. Something we'll put out there, and then Sunday, all the regular game day sort of content and festivities and whatnot. Everybody, please do stick with us for that.
Speaking of your Eric Dyer moment, Jack, I only seen a video again the other day of Eric Dyer running off, and then Joel's behind him.
I saw myself and him, David. That's what it was. Thanks for holding it down. We went from a back three to or back two to a back one. You know, Dave was holding it down. Eric Dyer, you know, had to run off.
No, look, you fucking held it down last week when I had to go off and see my sister. So, you know, look. That's it. That's the end of it, guys. Great fan show today. Great time. You guys have cheered me up on this Friday. Like Jacko said, you know, we'll be back here Sunday with the pre-match build-up and the watch-along. Guys, please go off and enjoy your weekend. Get as much enjoyment as you can before Sunday rocks around. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
And right now, until we get a manager, and it's a manager we believe in the fans we trust.
In the fans we trust. Big up, everyone. Have a good weekend.
And thank you all for your support, for tuning in. You know, people that grab the memberships and the super chats. It really, really is appreciated. We've got no big wigs behind us. We put all the ounce and time we have into the content to try and make it better for all you guys out there. So it's good to see so many of you appreciate it. See you back here Sunday. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Everywhere we go.